That is now that. And then we go check. We check at the YouTube. Mr. Bond. Are we live?
We are, but the question is not are we live? The question is can you hear us?
Let's check out the YouTube.
Okay, I hear you.
Mr. Bond.
I hear you.
Posting the link.
Are we live? We are, but the question is not are we live? You can hear us.
Then we do that.
We hit like.
That. We do that. We do that. We do that.
It says we have 3 viewers.
We do that. We do that. We do that. We also.
This is the YouTube preamble.
Before the show starts, we hop into
it's
our
the
own
YouTube
chat,
preamble.
and we throw in a like, so we don't forget to do it later. Alright, we load up the timer.
So we don't have no time.
So we don't let the show run for 7 hours. Even though the timer stops mattering some weeks. Okay. It's time, Jordan. It's time. It's time. We're repping the logo. I've got a sweater on. Nailing it. In 3, 2, 1. This podcast is brought to you by the Arate Media Pantheon. Please head to aratemedia.org to see plenty of podcasts from our great friends. And if you would like to start your own podcast, they can provide you with the tools and resources to do so there. So head to aratemedia.org. That's ARETE media.org. On with the show, Jordan.
On with the show, Mr. Bond.
Flawless intro as always. Flawless, nailing the intro every single gosh darn week. Welcome to this
8 times out of 10 audiences agree that we are flawless with the intro.
10 times out of 10. Welcome to the Spur of the Moment podcast, everybody. I'm your host. I am Justin Spurr. As always, I am joined by my co-host. It is the incomparable Jordan. Everybody say hello, Jordan.
Hello, Jordan.
He said hello, Jordan. And on today's show, we got all kinds of... We got the news, including Malcolm in the Middle reboot happening. We'll talk about that for a bit. Avatar, they're making a new Avatar show. Hancock 2, something about the Defenders. Batman update. New live-action Street Fighter movie. And more. And... the Thunderbolts trailer that we forgot to talk about last week as well. And then later in the show, it's spy stuff. It's James Bond and the like, Jason Bourne and what have you. All leading up to a week late review of New Captain America. That was a very long intro. Okay, let's get into the news. Starting with. Let's talk about that Thunderbolts trailer, because the Super Bowl one that I forgot to talk about last week, because when I watched it and every trailer I've seen for this movie, I have been utterly indifferent towards. Is how I would describe it.
Yeah, I'm neither excited nor unexcited. It was one that I kind of figured that I'll watch on streaming.
But like, I won't lie, for reasons we're gonna get into later. I am excited for it now, and I will probably check it. I'm more inclined to check it out because it was like, I remembered things I like about that movie that I'm like, you know what? I'm in. Also, I kind of like the bad guy who appears to be the Sentry, who's kind of like a Superman guy, and I'm like, well, we haven't really seen a Superman guy in the MCU quite yet, so, you know, they're doing some interesting stuff, and we'll get into the reasons why I'm kind of interested in this later. But yeah, these trailers have not really done.
Yeah, for the record, my opinion hasn't really changed. I'm pretty much just as excited as I was, which is to say, passively, it's Marvel. I'll probably end up watching it, but I'm not like I was 10 years ago when the first Avengers movie was coming out, where I was like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
Yeah, fair enough. For everything's... Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm tentatively excited. It has to earn that excitement. It has to earn it.
I'll watch
Um,
it. It'll be this. I'll probably have the same opinion for it as I do as this, which is Marvel at its worst is just fine. It's
yeah,
fine.
yeah, right, right. Um, so
I
yeah,
have a feeling that will be my opinion walking out of that one. It's
probably
fine.
it's
It was
fine.
okay.
It's fine. Inoffensive.
Inoffensive. Had a good
Serviceable.
time.
um, so Malcolm in the
Didn't walk
Middle.
away from it. Didn't walk away from it going like, "Oh my god, I just wasted 2 hours of my life." Like I
Right.
won't. I have a feeling I won't do that.
That's a
So
solid afternoon. So Malcolm in the Middle Disney Plus reboot. They're it's coming out
now,
coming.
reboot or sequel?
So
Because I understood it to be a sequel.
everything keeps saying reboot. This article says reboot, but it's definitely a sequel. Um,
Yeah,
but like,
because go on.
I was gonna say, I just everything I've heard about this just sort of indicates to me that Bryan Cranston is in it. The Jane has the woman who plays Lois is in
The
it.
mom.
The mom's in it. Frankie Muniz is in it, and that's it. Because I saw an interview with Frankie Muniz where he was like, yeah, they've had me chemistry read with a bunch of new characters, and then I'm like, yeah, that just sort of indicates to me that there's not really many of the original characters
Yeah,
that
I
come
mean,
back for this.
it kind of just indicates to me that it is what I kind of suspected that it would be, which is Frankie Muniz comes to visit with his family.
Yeah, pretty well. Yeah, so the article I pulled is they announced the casting of it's a Asian woman by the looks of it. Oh no, I guess a black woman of color will be Malcolm's girlfriend, his feisty girlfriend. Um, so yeah,
Yeah.
and then there was a rumor of like there's gonna be like a non-binary kid. So I'm guessing it's gonna be like yeah, Malcolm's got a kid, and the kid goes to visit grandpa and grandma, and like the Dewey and Reese and Francis, they get like at best like oh it's been
They
a
get
while since
na-
we name drop. That's what
Yeah,
yeah
they get name dropped, and there'll be like maybe a family picture of them that was like from the original show that's still hanging on the wall.
right at best. I
Like
will be
at
shocked.
at best.
Because like apparently it's 4 episodes long, and it's like at least they've admitted to it. But Frankie Muniz was like, it's a movie script that they've stretched out into 4 episodes. So I'm like, well, at least he's honest about it,
Yeah, I mean, okay. So that's a thing that's coming.
right? I'm like, I'm neither excited nor unexcited. Like a lot of these things are they're all
Eh,
just like they're too late for me to be excited. I might have been excited about this like 5 years ago, but like now
I
it's
might have been
like,
excited. I might have been
all
excited about this
right,
5 years ago had it ended up in theaters, and I would have been like, "Oh my god, they're making a Malcolm in the Middle movie."
right,
But it's like now it's like the idea of old show coming back with original characters is done. It's been done. 90s
right.
show,
Getting dumped
how
onto
how I
streaming. I'm
Met Your
like,
Mother, like there's so many ones. Girl Meets World, like so many shows where original came back and did it, but not as good have already
yeah,
happened.
I just no, we always say I need to see it. I need to see it before I can render my judgment
I
fully.
need
But
something. Like
my
I need, but
enthusiasm's not there, man.
yeah, on concept, my enthusiasm's not there because it's just too
No,
late.
no, it's too late. Let's see here. Yeah, they're making a new Avatar show, Jordan. It's gonna be
A new Avatar. So wait. When you say Avatar, and I hate that we have to clarify this, do you mean blue people or do you mean elemental controllers?
last Airbender one.
Okay.
They-
Because yeah, when you say Avatar nowadays, there's two avatars.
right. This is the Airbendy kind. So this will take
Okay.
place after Korra, and the log line is set in a world shattered by a devastating cataclysm. A young Earthbender discovers she's the new Avatar after Korra, but in this dangerous era, the title marks her as humanity's destroyer, not its savior. Hunted by both human and spirit enemies, she and her long-lost twin must uncover their mysterious origins, and save the Seven Havens before civilization's last strongholds collapse. And
Interesting.
it's
So then
called Avatar Seven Havens.
that leads me to my question of how did Korra fuck up the world that bad? Also, there's going to be so many jokes from the people that hated Korra.
Right? I just
Like, oh, Korra was such a bad character that she destroyed the world.
didn't they like I don't know how that show ends because I've never finished it, but like
I never finished it.
didn't it end with her like destroying the Avatar, so there's no more Avatar?
Well, from what I remember, at a certain point, the Avatar cycle breaks, but then she gets it back, and then I don't know.
Oh,
The
fair.
last that I remember is that, and this is before they got to the whole Earth Kingdom people. There was a whole separate group where there was a guy. There were bad guys who had each of the four elements, and one of them was an airbender. And I just know that I saw a scene where he had, like, I've seen it on TikTok, where it's a bald guy, and he's using his air powers, and there's a bubble around a woman's head, and he literally sucks the air out of her lungs. Um, and like I know that's from one
Metal.
of the later seasons that I didn't see, so I don't actually know how that show ends.
Fair enough.
I,
Yeah,
I
me
don't
neither.
know
But,
that I don't know how that show ends, or if it ends in such a way where you would be inclined to believe that the end of the world happens.
right? Yeah, yeah. Um,
Because the thing was that for the longest time anyway on Netflix they only had the first like two seasons.
right,
So that's all I've seen.
right.
Because from what I remember, the last two seasons, I don't believe they ever actually made it onto TV. I think for the longest time they were released on the Nickelodeon website, because something to do with the studio didn't want them to actually be put out or something. Or maybe I'm completely wrong. I don't know. That's just something that sticks out in my brain.
Yeah, I don't know. Next, Jordan. Uh, apparently the Defenders might show up in the MCU. They're talking about bringing that team back with, I guess, the Daredevil coming out and people being real Jones about Daredevil. That means they could bring back potentially Jessica Jones and the rest.
Oh, Justin. They'll be in Infinity War.
I
They'll be in the
mean,
background,
they'll be
fighting
the
one of the many minions. It'll be just a quick flyby. They'll
right.
be there.
They're some of the people that. Never mind, we're gonna get there. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't like Defenders. I watched I think it's only one season, and everything surrounding it was crap. So I didn't I don't care. I
Also, sorry to go back to because I'm thinking about it. Go back to that new Avatar show that you're talking about. With Korra, they were in like the talkie radio time period of like the 30s. So like I'm fascinated in this new one. Is it going to be like in the future tech now, where it's like post-apocalyptic
yeah
and there's like
I think so. To my understanding, yeah, they're going for like a
because
post-apocalyptic thing.
because that's kind of from a visual standpoint anyways, that's kind of an interesting idea to me to
Right.
see like the Avatar in a modern-ish or a postmodern world.
Yeah.
That is interesting to me. Sorry, I wanted to, I was thinking about that.
Fair.
um Sorry, what were we talking about?
Defenders coming back potentially.
Sorry, who's coming back?
The
Defenders,
Defenders.
right. I thought for whatever reason my brain did a jump there, and I thought you said Bender's coming back, and I was like, wait, what?
I mean, did he ever really
Um,
leave?
Defenders, right? Yeah, no, they'll be in Infinity Wars in the background. They'll be one of the dozens of people that you see. Now, if you're talking about them being in their own movie, I mean,
Or show?
sure, maybe,
Maybe. Yeah,
maybe.
maybe. Who knows? I don't know. Can't some enthusiasm. Jordan, apparently.
I mean, what I will say is if they do a new Defenders, um, and I don't know how to say this nicely, maybe have a few more interesting characters in it.
That's what I'm saying. Jordan, they're making a live action Street Fighter movie.
Again?
Yeah, a new one apparently.
Oh, okay.
They announced a director. I don't know enough about Street Fighter to know the story to be like, what's this about?
Not really.
What's this
I
about?
mean,
What's the deal here?
my only knowledge of it really is that there's Ryu and he trains with the red one, and then they go off and do a street fight.
Yeah, right.
Also there's M Bison and he's a bad guy, and there's Akuma who's like the evil version of Ryu.
Yeah, right. And then
But that's my passing knowledge of Street Fighter.
I know that both there's Ken and then there's Ryu, and then
and like there's
they both
and like
train
there's
under the
like
same guy named Goku.
yeah, and there's like two variations of the fighting style, and when Ryu goes dark mode, he uses the evil style, which is the style that I think Akuma uses.
I'm pretty sure. I only really know this because of Death Battle. I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah, same.
Um,
And when Akuma shows up in Tekken, and so they kind of they have like the story mode for the arcade mode or whatever, and you can play as Akuma, and like they give a little bit of a blurb there, which is why I know about him, as much about him as I do.
right,
Um, but no, I have a passing knowledge. It just sort of feels very similar to Tekken, so I just
right.
assume that it's similar to Tekken.
I know that the Street Fighter is the tournament. It's like the Street Fighter tournament is like the tournament in the story.
Yeah,
I
which is
think.
like the Fist of Iron Fist, the
Yeah,
Fist of
yeah.
Iron Will tournament. So that's where I say,
King of Iron Fist.
yeah, that one. Yeah, that's where I say they're basically it's basically Street Fighter is basically just Tekken. I mean, to the point where they have a crossover game. So
So Jordan, Batman 2. They're delaying it. It's taking a while to come out. Robert Pattinson has finally talked about the story, and I figured it'd be fun if we did superhero. So I realized we exclusivized it to Marvel last time. I think we'll open it up to superhero interview answer roulette. What do you think? What do you think Robert Pattinson said about the Batman 2?
um, it's gonna be a lot of fun. I had a really good time, or I really enjoyed the process of making this and diving deeper into what makes Batman Batman. Um, the fight scenes will be fun, and I think you will really enjoy where we take the character.
Wow, you went to just way too much detail. Like, I respect it. I respect that you thought I respect that you respected him enough to think that that was gonna be that long. But no, this is the answer. Okay, he says, Matt Reeves is a very careful writer, but I finally know what it's about. It's very cool, and I'm very excited.
I mean, I got the basic gist.
You did, but you like just went way too far.
I I
You
embellished. I
like
embellished a
you
bit.
overachieved, really. And to that I say, all right. Our bit there was way more fun than that movie probably will be.
Yeah, probably. I mean, unless they have a way more interesting villain this time.
Oh, you know what? Let's do another one. We'll do another round of. Hold on.
Ah!
Okay.
Go on.
Yeah. Okay. We'll do another. We'll do another round. Round two. Tatiana Maslany asked whether or not she would be in that new Daredevil show. Jordan, what do you think she said?
Uh, I mean, Marvel is a tightly wound machine. Even if I was, I couldn't confirm or deny anything.
You're close. I mean, you got the spirit. Would I be born again? I mean, absolutely. He was great. He was fun. Like a really fun person to play with. So you got the spirit of it. I'll give it to you. You're close enough.
She can't confirm or deny. She didn't answer the
She
question.
cannot confirm or deny.
She dodged the question.
She absolutely dodged the question. Uh,
Expertly, but still.
hmm. Interesting. Okay, so we're talking about next. Hancock 2. Will Smith recently at some sort of event of some sort. Streamer, some sort of streamer stream. He was asked about Hancock 2. And he said that they have a really good idea for it. And if they ever made it, they would approach Zendaya. To wit, my response would
I
be.
I don't remember how that movie ended. Is it how
I,
could you make a sequel?
it winds up with he's still a superhero. Then he keeps his distance from her, and she goes back to Jason Bateman.
Okay.
So theoretically, you could do it where Zendaya is their kid,
All right. Fair
and
enough.
like you have it where Zendaya is a kid, she discovers her kid, and then yeah, it's a metaphor for fatherhood. Like the last one was a metaphor for being in a relationship.
I think I'm gonna have to find a reason to rewatch that movie.
Fair enough. But yeah. That's the only way I could see to do a Hancock 2 is where, and the only reason why you would is because Zendaya, because she's light skinned enough that it's believable that he would be Charlie Theron's and his daughter, and she kind of matched that energy. That's the only reason why I'm like, why Zendaya? That kind of seems like the one reason she would be new
Was
Hancock.
was she in the last one?
No, but you could be like she's a long lost kid from because they're like really old, so you could be like she's like a long lost kid and they age slower.
Okay. All right, sure. I'm down. Fuck it. I mean, I don't have strong feelings about Hancock one way or the other.
No,
I never needed a sequel, but I liked that movie, so fuck it, I'm down.
right?
Like,
I'm kind of a similar persuasion. I didn't need a. It's the only thing I could think of other than okay, she's just a bad guy and he does a big superhero fight and it takes everything that makes that movie interesting away from what makes that movie interesting.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Man, this week has been
yeah.
real superhero news heavy. But I don't know if you remember, Jordan. I do not know if you remember that they're making that Clayface movie. Jordan, they're making a Clayface movie. And the question really was like, which Clayface are they gonna do? Because there's like 50 billion of them. Are they gonna do the like he's a mush monster one?
Or are they gonna do the he's a famous actor one? Because
Right.
that's my favorite.
That's my favorite. Let's so.
He's a serious actor. Or are they doing the monster?
I don't know. I'm trying to see what this. I don't think we know yet.
But
Oh no,
what
maybe we
you
are.
know.
It looks like they're okay. So it says previously reported Clayface will be a horror film of sorts with them saying that the movie will pull from comic book character's origin as a B-movie actor who injects himself with a substance to keep himself relevant, only to find out that he can use it to reshape his face and form, becoming a walking piece of clay. That is awesome. That's the best version of that character.
Huzzah!
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 Huzzah! And then finally, Jordan, final piece of news because I got one more story, but I'll save it for when we talk about Captain America. Apparently, they're making a Goonies movie. Goonies 2.
They've already. I was gonna say they've already made a Goonies movie. It's a classic. It very much already exists. A Goonies 2.
Goonies 2.
I've watched that movie, and I don't know how you could make a Goonies 2.
I mean, other than it's 30 years later and they're all adults.
Yeah, like they're grown up now.
It's kind of the story you do with that.
So, like, what is it going to be? They come back to their... is it going to be one of those classic... They come back to their towns for, like, a reunion or whatever, get into some zany, wacky adventure where they end up hunting for treasure?
Probably.
Back in their town as adults, and then you bring back the original actors. It's either that, or you bring back one of the original actors and you have it be about his kids and their...
Right.
Their friend group.
And then you do the really obvious joke where they have, like, they're all on their cell phones. And then he could be like, oh, well, back in my day, we went on an adventure. We didn't, like, look at our phones or whatever.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
That ironic when they go on an adventure later.
Those are the two directions I see it going.
Is it because they're the most obvious ones?
Yes. Which are usually the ones that Hollywood do.
Oh, absolutely it is. The ones that they do.
So,
yeah.
Don't be surprised if when this movie comes out and you watch the trailer, that's what we see, and you will have the spur of the moment ringing that phone up and saying, we called it.
We called that. We called that nonsense.
We predicted that movie right from its onset.
Exquisitely. That's it. That's it for the news. The news. Oh god. It's flipping out. Oh god. Today's episode brought to you by. Well, you see, what you guys don't know is next week. Next week's the season 3 finale of this show, and we will be on a jet plane to Mexico for a week. I'm sitting on a beach. But while we do so, what we could do, Jordan, you know what we could do? We could listen to Audible. And what the audience could do is they could use the link in our description and sign up for Audible and get a free credit right now and select a wide selection of books from Audible, all with crisp, clean audio. Jordan, what are you currently listening to on Audible?
Currently, I'm listening to Inferno, Dan Brown book. Robert Langdon?
Yeah, yeah. I'm still listening
Yeah,
to
yeah.
Jacka's Guide to the Galaxy. But one of the things I love about Audible is how it just remembers where you were, so you could pick up right where you left off the next time you listen.
Yeah, it's very convenient. And they let you keep any of the books even when you're not on the subscription. Any of the books that you've used your credits on, you still have access to at any point. You can download and listen to them with pristine audio quality.
That's what I'm saying. So, and if you use the link in our description and you sign up, you honestly really help the podcast out a lot. So, sign up for Audible using our link in the description. Do it. Do it now.
Do it. Do it.
Do it
Do it.
now.
Do it. No.
That's it. That's the sponsorship. Sign up for Audible. Do it.
Do it.
Do it.
And now that the sponsorship has ended, so what's funny is, I had the thought to myself, since we're doing spy stuff, it would have been the perfect episode to have like a NordVPN sponsorship because they protect you from spy stuff. It would have fit the theme really nice. Like, it just would have worked out very well.
They would have.
In fact, we in our sponsorship for Audible, we should have probably mentioned that there might be, for all I know, there could be 007 books on there, and It would have fit nicely, like spy books. I'm sure there's lots of spy books on there.
I'm sure there is. I'm sure there is, Jordan.
Like, that would have been a very smart thing to say during our ad.
It would have been. Probably would have been. Probably would have been.
So I've given the game away. Spy stuff.
So this week, because we saw Captain America, it's a spy movie, kind of. We did spy stuff. And also on the recommendation and vote of our previous week's guest, Adam. Thanks again, Adam, for dropping by. We had a great time. Your content has been a treasure trove of content. It just keeps giving.
Genuinely funny.
Genuinely funny stuff. He voted for spy shit, and we all three voted for spy shit. So we're doing spy stuff. And then later, Captain America 4 review. Jordan, you know the bit. What's your first rapid fire?
I mean, I could tell you, but then I'd have to kill you. Da 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 da. No, my first one is actually Black Widow. Because as soon as you said spy shit, this was actually like after 007. This was the second one that kind of popped into my head.
You mean that Black Widow movie that came out way too late?
Yeah, it came out in 2021, years after Black Widow had died in Endgame, and they had to be like, "Yeah, this takes place before that. It actually takes place before Civil War."
That's what I'm saying. It should have come out before or after Civil War.
It should have come. No, it should have come out before Civil War.
I mean, yeah,
because at the end of this movie, she gets the Quinjet and is heading off to rescue her friends from the raft.
True.
It should have taken place before Civil War. But this movie introduces Red Guardian, who I love. I love Red Guardian. Going back to talking about the Thunderbolts real quick, he's the thing that makes me most excited for that movie.
He's super fun.
David Harbour, I think is him. You can tell he's having a blast. Like, right. Every minute, you can just tell that he's just simply delighted to be there. Right. I feel his enthusiasm coming through the screen. I also love Florence Pugh, who's playing Yelena Belova.
Is amazing. Yelena, I like her better than I like Scarlett Johansson. I think she's way funnier, and I'm like disappointed she hasn't been in more of the universe. She's the reason why I'm excited for Thunderbolts.
I don't necessarily know that I like her more than Scarlett Johansson. I really, in this movie, I like them together.
Yeah, they like
Scarlett Johansson has the years of being a spy dry wit, like she's flat, which works really well with Yelena's more sarcastic wit.
She's easily my favorite part of Hawkeye, which is that show I don't like.
But I think that I think they work very well together. It's kind of disappointing that Scarlett Johansson, Black Widow, is dead, and we can't get more of them together.
Right? We certainly couldn't have another Scarlett Johansson walk through a portal or something.
Okay, well, you know what I mean. This version of her, the real version.
Yeah, that's true. She is dead.
The version who lived the life experiences that would make our version of Yelena relate to her as a sister,
That is true. That is true.
um, is dead. But yeah, I mean, this movie is
Yeah, it really looks like that Thunderbolts movie is really more her movie, and that makes me happy because I really like her, and I think she can carry a movie on her own, and I'm really excited for that. And yeah, I love the Red Guardian. I'm really excited he's along for the ride, and yeah, I love Bucky. I'm just there's just so many elements of that movie I'm excited for. And when I saw you when I saw you watching this, I was like, yeah, I really like these characters, and it's a shame they weren't in a better movie.
I mean, yes, but I don't think this movie's that bad.
No, it's just like
I
bland.
think it's just it's bland. It's bland in the same way that like I found Captain America bland. It's the same way that I imagine I'll feel Thunderbolts, where it's like it's not Endgame or it's not Infinity Wars or like like it's not like
Right.
at the top tier of Marvel, but by no means do I think it's at the bottom. I think it's firmly in the middle,
Right.
where I find a lot of Marvel stuff has been recently.
Right. Where it's like
Just
it's all right.
very very firmly in the middle where it's not doing any harm but it's not breaking any new like
But
doing
also,
anything. It's not digging any deeper into the ground. It's firmly building a house on the already existing plane of ground that's there. It's fine.
a lot of women really dig this movie, and like I think it's better than Captain Marvel. So
Oh, I agree with that. um yeah, and I think that that's an example. I don't know how to word this. That's an example where I think part of why this movie is better than Captain Marvel, ignoring the actual movie aspect of it, I just like Scarlett Johansson more than I like the other one.
that is totally fair.
Um, and I think character wise, even because Scarlett Johansson has been in more movies, she's been around since Iron Man 2.
Yeah,
They've had more time to flesh out her character, whereas Carol Danvers, uh, uh,
they should have already
she's
made this movie like 5 years ago. This movie's 5 years
yeah.
too late.
Um, but yeah, no, this is it's fun. This is a fun movie.
It's
Um,
just a fun, good
uh,
old fun time.
I don't have a lot more to say about it. I mean, it did okay. It had a budget of 288.5 million, which as an aside, that's insane to me. That's a lot of money.
Right?
Anyways, it made 379.8 million. So it
Yeah.
didn't fail.
No, it did all right.
It did all right,
It did all right.
considering it came out way too late.
Right? Right? It did all right. And I think
It did all right.
that was still in the midst of some COVID fuckery.
Yeah, I believe so.
Um,
2021, definitely it would have been.
Jordan, is that it for Black Widow?
Yeah, it's fine.
So all right. So my big thing with spy movies, just at the beginning of my little presentation, for lack of a better word, is that I always thought I hated spy movies. I'm like most of them I find boring at best. So like I just and when I began my week, I began with the one James Bond movie I've seen, which is Casino Royale. That's not true. I've seen three of them. I've seen this Quantum of Solace and I believe Skyfall, and like these movies, I always found them to be agonizingly boring, and like this was no exception. This was like agonizingly boring. I will say it contains like thus far my favorite Bond song, which is you know my name, which is by Chris Cornell, which is just really really good. Like I think it's better than Skyfall. I don't care for Skyfall all that much. And Golden, we'll get to Goldeneye, but Goldeneye's song was awful. Um, and Jordan, you've seen Casino Royale, right?
Not in a long time. I watched it back in high school
Yeah,
with
see, that's the reason why I remember having watched it. I'm like, I just remember not liking this movie. It's just
I
not doing anything
I
for me.
I remember at the time being like they're okay. They're a little dry.
Right? Like, I'm like, okay, these action sequences are all right. They're kind of bland. Like, I've seen these before. And I discovered, like, again, not to jump ahead, but just in general, I watched two Bond movies with two different Bonds. And the most uninteresting parts of this are the romantic parts. Like, when he's
Yeah.
seducing a woman, it's so fucking boring. And, like, the number one thing I know about James Bond is he's supposed to be charismatic, and I don't know, maybe it's just me, but like Daniel Craig in this role has like no charisma. Like he's so boring. Like I
Yeah,
just
but I found
like
that to
not that
be
he's not like
true
a
of.
handsome guy. It's just like the way he's being presented is just not very
I,
interesting to me.
I found that to be true of 007 and Doctor No as well. So I
Interesting.
think that's true.
I did
I
not.
just think that's the character.
No, because we'll talk about Goldeneye. I really like Pierce Brosnan. So we're gonna when we talk about Goldeneye, we'll double back to this idea that I need to investigate further because it made me go. I'm like, oh, is Daniel Craig the problem? Because like there's just nothing in this that was grabbing my attention quite in the same way as Goldeneye did, and like
See, what's funny is I remember. So what I remember about the, and it's not much because it was so long ago, but what I remember about the Daniel Craig one is I remember like he has a dry wit, and it's like you either really liked it or you didn't, and part of what made it like it was fun at the time, and I think that had to do everything to do with who I was watching it with, and you could like the friend that I
maybe.
was watching with, their energy is it just it then translates to me because like I remember having fun with it at the time, but
Yeah, my
this
big
this one Doctor No, I it did not pass the phone test.
my thing with it was like it was trying to be realistic and that made it dull. I will say that it does the bit where he gets smacked in the balls is funny. That bit's funny. Um, I was engaged there, but for the most part, I was just like, yeah, this just really isn't. And like I say, it has my favorite Bond song. I genuinely like the song, but otherwise, I was like, this is just really. But yeah, the number one question we're gonna cycle back to is I'm like, is Daniel Craig the problem? It feels like he might be the problem, but I don't know. We'll dive into it as we get into the other James Bonds. Jordan, what is your next one?
So my next one is Kingsman: The Secret Service,
That movie's so
and
much
so
fun.
as I watched spy stuff this week, I kind of came to the realization, I don't like spy movies when they're serious, like when they're
Right?
taking themselves
Well, at
seriously.
least 100%
The mo-
serious, because this does to a degree take itself a little seriously, but
no, it doesn't really. It does, but it doesn't. It walks that line where it's like it is very much making fun
oh
of the
yeah,
trope.
but
Um,
it's not like a. I mean, you could
it's
talk about
it's
John English or
it's yeah it rests firmly in between it rests firmly in between Johnny English and 007, where it's
right,
like it's not as silly as like and that has everything to do with the fact that not so much that the movie takes itself more seriously, but the character is more competent.
right, and it's funny because like yours is like I do agree with you because I'm going to talk about Argyle, made by the same guy, another spy thing that, in my opinion, takes itself 100% seriously and falls on its face. So like this doesn't. I don't. I think it's maybe because of the way he like shoots action. I really love his action. His fight sequences are so good.
Yeah, like this one, um like that I don't know how to I don't know how to word it. It's a silly thing in a real way,
Right.
if that makes any sense. So, like, Samuel L. Jackson, he's still a Bond villain. He's still going around and he's going to save the world by like, genociding a portion of the population by having a big fancy piece of technology which somehow makes people's brains go like, I have to attack people. Like, that's still Bond level of silly. That's still
Right.
like that's where the parody comes from,
Right.
but it takes place in the real world, and like so that's where you're right. Like it is the in between. That's a great way of putting it. You did where it's the in between of Johnny English and 007, where
Right.
it's like it's absolutely silly,
Yeah, and
but it's
then
trying to do it like in a
the
real way.
stakes are real, but there's a scene where Colin Firth is just mowing down a church to Freebird. Like it's one of those
Oh
movies,
yeah, yeah. So like it's over the top is I guess is how I would word it.
right?
Um, and I love it. Like I love it. Also, and I feel like I discovered this in the past, and I'm now rediscovering it. I either didn't know or forgot that it was a comic book series
It
originally,
was, yeah, it's based on a comic book, yeah.
which was interesting to me. But
I believe it's
I like this movie.
the same people, people who make Kick-Ass. So the
That
implication in the comics is that Kick-Ass, Wanted, and this are all in the same universe.
Millerwood.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. That's the one.
Interesting. Um, but yeah, no, I really enjoy the Kingsman movies.
I mean, yeah, at
Um,
their worst, they're enjoyable. I'm never. I mean, I get that people don't like the second one and the prequel, but I still think they're fun. They're still like
I
dynamic and
I
fun
don't
looking.
I don't love the prequel. I don't mind the sequel, although I do um after watching this one and remembering how much I like I don't remember the character's name. The girl. Um Taryn, Sophie Cookson, Roxy Morton, Lancelot.
Oh yeah,
I like her in this one, and something that I'm kind of upon reevaluating things after watching this one. I don't like that they bring back Harry Hart in the second one. Um,
yeah.
I don't I
Nobody
don't
did.
think I I don't think I think he should have stayed dead, and the second one should have been about Aggie and Lancelot,
That makes sense.
like them working together as partners and them going on adventures and like she's not, from what I remember, she's not even in the second one. And I don't even think they really
No.
explain why.
They go to America for a significant portion of it.
Yeah, like they bring
Oh, I
her,
think
or
it's
they take
they do
her.
something where I think she kills all of them except for and she gets killed off screen. I think I could be remembering that wrong. I'm pretty sure though that's what it is.
I don't know. All I know is that I don't like that.
Yeah, fair enough.
Um. Anyways, I did like this one. I thought that this one was. Oh yeah. Uh. Also, sorry. The part at the end where he's going to stop Samuel L. Jackson, and he opens the thing, and it's the princess or whatever, and she's like, if you save the world, we'll let you do it in the ass. And I such a funny joke. Um, uh, and then very surprising that in the last moments of the film, they actually show her ass.
Right?
Okay, that's still, I'm like, really interesting choice. Okay, nice ass. Um,
Right?
but it's a fun movie. It's a fun movie. It pokes fun at all the spy stuff while maintaining realism, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I love those
uh,
movies.
yeah, I always have a delight watching these movies, and I can't wait for a third one.
I also want the one that's the sequel to the prequel where they fight Hitler.
I mean, yeah, okay, I'll take that.
I'll also take that one. That one sounds fun. Okay. So yeah, you're right about the. I really just discovered I enjoyed these spy movies when they're comedies and when they're not taking themselves seriously. Because when they're taking themselves seriously, they're really really dull. And so, my next one was a movie it was a movie I really enjoyed called Central Intelligence with The Rock and Kevin Hart, where The Rock. And I've discovered this is my favorite version of The Rock. Like, I love The Rock when it's a guy who isn't The Rock becomes The Rock. So, like,
Oh yeah,
the gag is he's the weird guy in high school. Like, that's the joke. So he's like a weird fat guy who, like, takes showers by himself in the high school gym, to the point even the character's like, dude, why don't you shower at home? Why are you doing this here? And he gets bullied, and Kevin Hart is like the high school jock who is like great at everything, and it flashes forward to the modern day, and now he's just like a random accountant whose life is honestly very boring, and The Rock has like dropped all the weight and is The Rock now and is a CIA agent, and it's really funny. They're really funny. There's that bit where he's got him in the basket, and he's like, okay, if we do this, if we survive this, it'll be a totally boss story. Cool? No, no, not cool. Not cool.
not cool, not cool.
That's really funny. Him and Kevin Hart have a really good chemistry. It's very funny, and yeah, it's a solid mystery because you're never really sure whether The Rock being this weird guy is like an actor or not. Like you're never 100% sure whether or not he's just because initially he shows up and he's like, "Oh yeah, man, you're so cool, you're my," and it just seems like he's buttering Kevin Hart up to get him to do this thing as being part of a spy. And the whole thing is there's the bad guy called the Honey Badger, who the whole movie you think that, or you're not quite sure who the Honey Badger is, and you think it seems maybe that you're not sure if the CIA director is involved in it, or if his name is Bob. If Bob the Rock is in on it, or who's in on it, and like it keeps changing, and it does a really good job the whole movie of like changing it up, where you're never 100% sure till the end. You find oh no, he really is a big goof, and his partner, who's just Aaron Paul for some reason, is the Honey Badger, and like all of these memories that Bob has of him liking him are all fake, and he actually couldn't stand him the whole time because he was this weirdo. But yeah, it's really funny. I was like, this is really fun.
So
the acting's really good.
when you say that his partner was just Aaron Paul, do you mean like literally he was just the actor Aaron Paul, or like Aaron Paul is just being himself?
He's just being himself.
Okay,
Yeah.
but he is a character.
He shows up for like one cameo. He says "bitch," like he's got his own name, but the name's unimportant.
Okay. So
he's not literally Aaron Paul. No.
He's not literally. Okay.
No. But yeah, it's funny. It's a funny movie. It's very enjoyable. It's definitely one of my favorite spy movies I watched this week. It was the most fun, and much like The Kingsman, it makes fun of a lot of stuff. Like I say, him and Kevin Hart are just so good together. They're just so funny. I think this might be their best movie together, quite honestly.
Not Jumanji, Too Many Manji.
I mean, I do like Too Many Manji, but this was way less complicated than Too Many Manji. I mean, it's like there's not much to the story. It's nothing complicated, but it's funny. It's genuinely very funny, and they're very funny together.
I understand. Like I said,
the action's all right. Some of the action's pretty good.
I understand.
Central Intelligence.
Do you have anything else to say about Central Intelligence?
No, that's it. That's Central Intelligence.
All right. Well, Justin.
Jordan.
Say what?
But what?
Danger Zone.
Danger Zone. But only the first season.
I watched the show, not all of it because there's like 15 seasons. But I watched a decent amount of Archer.
There's 15 seasons and a lot of it is bad.
Oh, a good chunk of the later seasons I don't like what they did with.
Really?
Anyways.
Really anything where if Archer's in a coma, it's bad and it's not good. All of those coma seasons are bad. I will not have any other discussion otherwise. None of them are good.
I agree. But that being said, there are so many so many moments on this show, which I mean, I think to this day we still quote.
I mean, my favorite is
hello. I still do that sometimes and forget where it comes from.
Oh, I don't want to go to work all the time to the point that people I work with will go hello, and then they'll go back hello, and I'm like excellent. You people don't get why this is funny.
No, they have no idea. They just don't even know.
So Cyril does when he's in trouble. Hello.
Not just Cyril. There's a couple jokes where Archer does it too.
Right.
There's Danger Zone. There's phrasing. Hey, are we just not doing phrasing anymore? I love this show. I've watched it through at least twice.
I've watched it at least twice. It's really fun. Those early seasons are genuinely really. I mean, I even like their first bad season, the drug one.
I mean,
that season's really funny. I don't care what anyone says.
And I mean, it's it speaks to how popular this show was because it did a crossover with the Kingsmen.
Yes, it did. It did do a
Kingsmen to promote the second movie.
They didn't really remotely bother to get anyone who remotely sounds like Taron Egerton or anything like him, but they definitely did a crossover.
Are you sure that it wasn't him?
I'm like 90,
could have been him.
I'm 90%. If it is him, it doesn't sound anything like him.
Well, I'll have to look that up later because I seem to remember it was like it was a big deal because it was like supposed to actually be him.
All I know is I've watched it once and it did not sound like him.
And then there's the Conan one, which is
The
funny.
Conan one is very funny.
And I found out that there was one where Sterling Archer is doing movie reviews for James Bond movies. Um, and so I watched that, and that made me laugh. Um, but yeah, no, it, it it's such
Well made show. Well written show. Isn't it
it's such a
done?
well made
They,
show. I think I'm pretty sure it finished in 2003.
they did the 2000. You mean 2023?
That's what I mean.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they did a proper series finale. I know that they did a real sad. The mom writes a sad letter.
December
That I know.
December 17th, 2023 is when it
Yeah,
ended.
it got a
It
proper
ha-
finale, which I respected. I was not
it
expecting
had
that.
it had 14 seasons and 145 episodes. Um, the show, sorry, yeah, there was a 3-part series finale. Archer Into the Cold.
Oh, interesting. One day I'll finish that series. I just heard that the last 2 seasons weren't very good. Well, I heard they were okay at best, and I'm like, I can't summon the enthusiasm.
I have finished it. I slogged my way through the coma seasons
Ah, none
so
of the
that I could
seasons are good. None of them
so
are good.
so that I could. Well, it's not even that they're not good. They would be fine as their own thing, but because they're like because this has always been my point. Because you know that it's a coma and he's asleep, none of what happens in them matters. Any of the character growth that he goes through doesn't matter because when he wakes up, he doesn't remember any of it.
Right?
Thus making those you could not watch those and they don't really matter. The only reason why they matter from what I remember is because there's like one final scene, I believe near the end, where I'm this is going off my memory. I just remember there's a scene where he's like falling or he's drowning or something, and it flashes like it
Yeah.
flashes through the various versions that he was throughout the
The
coma.
the
That's the only time that it matters because that's the only time that there's any reference to it.
the final season of it, that is the alien one, I believe, and there's a series of moments or episodes where he keeps seeing the characters as the different coma characters, and it keeps changing. And yeah, there's one final scene where he's about to fall into lava, and yeah, you see him as the different variations he's been throughout these coma episodes, and then it ends with him waking up. But you don't need to
That was
see
it.
that.
Yeah.
You can just start with the next season, which opens with him immediately waking up. And the only real thing that consequence of that is they do like. I think maybe it's an overarching storyline of that season, but like like you get to see what happened while he was in the coma, and that's kind of it. There really isn't
Yeah,
much.
well, so the joke then becomes that while he was in the coma, everyone's lives were better and
Yeah,
they were way better off with him gone. That's the joke.
yeah.
Um,
But it
and
doesn't.
so
I think the
it
next season
doesn't.
they go right back to they're doing spy shit, and I yeah
I think so.
yeah I haven't, to be fair, I haven't seen it, but I heard it wasn't very good. That's all I know.
I mean, what to be fair, what show that's on for 14 season
Yeah,
keeps
yeah.
being good?
Right, yeah. I
Cough,
just
cough,
a lot of
cough,
those
cough, cough. The Simpsons needs to die. Cough,
a
cough.
lot of those coma seasons were like, yeah, this is funny for like 2 episodes at best, but to stretch this joke, the early ones were way worse. Like they got better as they went on, but those early ones were a slog.
Yeah. So here's my thing. There should have been one coma season and like 2 episodes he's in the jungle, 2 episodes he's in the spaceship,
Right?
2 episodes he's in the whatever. And what took you 3 seasons to do over the course of one season,
And
and
they
then we can move on with our lives.
their justification for those coma seasons was always that they were creatively exhausted with the spy thing, but that frustrated me as a response because they did other stories with the actual versions of the characters who mattered. That wasn't
Yeah.
just spy stuff. That was funny. It wasn't that you were doing different things. Like I get, okay, yeah, you want to do like a parody of Alien or whatever. It wasn't that. It was that these aren't the characters. These are
No,
Archer's
they didn't.
understanding of the characters. For all intents and purposes, we didn't get to see the characters for like 5 years.
Yeah. That's exactly it. Which is, I guess, is maybe the point of when you then wake up and get to see the real versions
But
and the
it's
consequences. But that would work for one
more like
season.
one, maybe 2 seasons. Like the fact that it's
Mm,
4 seasons. It's 4 seasons. It's brutal.
I think it's only three,
It's
but
four. They've got no wait.
I'm pretty sure it's three.
They've got the Dreamland. They've got the Adventure Island. They've got the Space one. I swear to God there was one more. Or maybe you're right. Maybe there's only three.
I'm pretty sure it's three. I
Okay.
don't I don't know how I don't know how to look it up on here. This Wikipedia article
Yeah, I
is
know that
big, but
there's Archer and Dreamland, or Archer Advice, which is the first one. Adventureland. No, no, I think you're right. I think it is only three.
um
But it's too many.
yeah, I'm pretty sure because okay, so the ones that I remember, maybe there is four, but I remember the one where he's like a detective or
Yeah,
whatever.
that's the first one.
Um, I remember the one where Krieger's a parrot.
That's Adventure Island.
I remember them being in space,
That's the alien one.
and then I remember him waking up.
Yeah, no, I guess it's only three.
Um,
It felt like four, I guess.
it was too many, is the
It's
point.
too many.
Um,
Entirely too many.
that's where I say you could have accomplished that same kind of thing in one season,
Right?
where like that's 6 episodes worth of stuff, maybe 8 if you push it.
Right? Jordan.
Um,
Jordan.
you could have easily stretched that out to just be one season's worth.
Right? Jordan, is that it for
But that's
Archer?
Art. But that's Archer. He's the world's greatest spy, and he tells everyone.
Just the tip. Just the
Maybe
tip!
one might argue that the world's greatest spy shouldn't go around telling everyone he's the world's greatest spy, but that's just how good he is.
That's just how good he is. Also, we don't know who his dad is, and thank you, other Justin. You got this. You got this. Thanks, other Justin.
Danger
Danger
zone.
zone. Okay, my next one. So yeah, there was a moment. There's a moment this week when I watched some of these movies where I went, maybe I don't hate spy movies, and definitely one of those moments was when I rewatched a movie called Man from U.N.C.L.E., based on the television show from the, I want to say 70s or 80s, back in the day, about well, the show is about like a super secret organization called Uncle, and it's a acronym UNCLE, and for the longest time I couldn't figure out what Uncle stood for. I'm like, what is this? I don't understand this, and I didn't want to look up the show. The movie is about two agents played by Henry Cavill and Armie Hammer. Henry Cavill is an American CIA agent, and Armie Hammer is a KGB agent, and they are forced to team up to stop spy shit. There's an evil chick. She wants to sell a bomb, a nuclear weapon. It takes place just after World War II. It's Cold War era, and it's really fun. It's directed by Guy Pearce. The action sequences are really fun. There's a lot of really fun car chases that are really good. This movie made me go like, man, those Superman movies really do Henry Cavill dirty. Like, so dirty. Because he is a charismatic guy, and he has so much charisma in this movie, and he's so good. He's probably my favorite character in this. Like, there's a really, really funny scene where they're doing a boat chase. And Henry Cavill's like, yeah, you're not going to make this jump. And Armie Hammer's like, no, I'm going to make it. Don't tell me what to do, cowboy. As he's doing this, just watch me do this. And he goes to do this jump. And Henry Cavill gets knocked out. The boat goes flying back. Like, climbs out of the water, gets into this truck. And just sits there and, like, calmly eats this truck driver's lunch. As he watches Armie Hammer, like, get taken down by a bunch of guards as he fails to make the jump. and just you just see him in the background, and after a certain moment he finishes the food, he's like, huh. And he drives the truck over and then crashes onto the guys and saves them. It's really funny. It's really well done. Like I said, the action's really good. I really enjoyed it. I was surprised by how much I liked it. I was like, this is really fun. This is a movie I think Jordan would enjoy. And like, yeah, there's like, it's generic German bad guys. Yeah, it very much made me go, man, Henry Cavill is so charismatic. Why wasn't Superman more charismatic in those movies?
because he wasn't Superman.
Yeah, because he wasn't Superman.
Henry
Um,
Cavill never got to be Superman.
Also, you find out why it's called Uncle at the end of the movie, because it turns out the movie is an origin for the show, where it explains how they joined Uncle.
So why is it called Uncle?
It's an acronym.
What is Uncle? What is the acronym?
Okay, I'll tell you. I'll
I
have to
need
go
to
back.
I need to know. It's gonna drive me crazy. The audience
Um,
demands it.
I am.
And
I'm googling it. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on.
tell me. Unleash your secrets unto me.
Boros from James Bond stores apparently. The United Network Command for Law and Enforcement. Uncle.
Okay.
Apparently, it's a
All right.
very long-running series. Um, it's there's like the girl from Uncle and the guy from Uncle. Apparently, it's very well known. I'd never heard of it before I saw this movie, and I was like, yeah, you know what? I dig this movie. I was very surprised. I was pleasantly surprised by how much I enjoyed. That's been my feeling a lot this week of me being like, I'm pleasantly surprised by how much I like this. That's it. That's Man from Uncle. What's your next one?
Okay. Okay. So we have to go back in time.
Back
It's
in
2001.
time.
I'm 11 years old, and a movie called Spy Kids comes out. Which, as an aside, it apparently premiered at Disney California Adventure.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
in Los Angeles, California, on March 18th, 2001.
all right then. Yes, and Adam brought it up last week. We might as well mention it again. The weird connection. The uncle, played by Danny Trejo, named Machete, is a series of very, very violent action movies done by Robert Rodriguez, where he plays the same character for some reason. And for some reason, in the Spy Kids movie, he's the tech guy, but in his actual
Yeah.
movies, he doesn't text. It's very
So
weird. It's a very weird
so
choice.
so apparently, I was reading about it. I don't remember if it was the director or Danny Trejo himself. Someone in regards to Machete. Um, for one thing, um, confirmed or stated that they're two different realities, two different versions of the character.
I mean, I don't know that I believe him.
Um, and it's funny because when you
Why not
go and
just
you
give him a
look up,
different name then? Why give him the same name? It's just a weird choice. It's a weird choice.
yeah, there it is. Danny played what? Rodriguez has stated that their continuities are not connected.
Then why give him the same name? I don't get it. I don't get it. It's such a weird
Um,
choice.
Although Trejo joked in an interview that the events of the Machete films show what the character quote does when he's not taking care of the kids, implying continuity with the spy films. Rodriguez has stated that the two film series take place in separate narrative universes and follow alternative versions of the characters.
Why
So,
again? I'm just gonna keep saying it. Why give him the same name? Why do
yeah,
that? Well,
I, I, I really couldn't say. It's a definitely a choice. Probably because it was funny. It was a joke.
who?
Which then people have yeah taken and run with. But um in terms of this movie though, this movie. So okay. Um, this movie.
This is the one where it's Alan Cummings the bad guy and he turns them into weird mutant people, right?
Yeah, well, he has a TV show, and all the weird creatures on it, or at least some of the weird creatures on it, are spies that have been coming to and like check him out and everything. But then you find out that his second in command, Minion, is the one who
Oh yeah, he's the one who turns. Yeah, he's the one who gets the weird mutant face because he comes back in the next one. He's got hand face.
yeah, he's
I
the
remember
bad
that.
guy, and he's been manipulating the one guy, and so the parents go to check him out and they get captured, and so then the kids go in to save them, and it's a spy kid adventure. And all I could think as I was watching this was this movie walked so the Incredibles could run.
I mean, yeah, Yeah, is that the one that is this the one that has Steve Buscemi in it, where he's like, do you think God fears what he has created, or is that the second one?
No, that's the second one.
That's the second one. I just remember
That's
that
the
line
second one.
where it's like, wow, such a profound line came from a Spy Kids movie.
Um, so what's funny is, um, the second. So from my memory anyway, which is obviously not infallible. I definitely remember the second one being better.
I don't remember. All
Sure,
I remember about the first one is that eventually they fight robot kids.
robot versions of themselves and
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah, and kids.
they're
Um,
just weird,
it's just
really weird, bad movies.
it's just part of why I think the second one is better is because this one it spends an inordinate amount of time with the two kids not liking each other and arguing and calling each other names, which is tedious and old
Right?
fast. Whereas in the second one, because they're already a team and they've been working together at this point, from what I remember, they get along better and it makes the movie a more
I
enjoyable experience.
I don't remember
Like
any
in
of
this
these
one,
movies being good.
in, in this one, good is relative.
Yeah,
Um, More watchable, I guess, is what
they get
is how I would
perplexingly
put it.
terrible as they go on.
Um, but in this one, like, yeah, the dynamic between Jamie and the sister is so like she keeps calling him a klutz and calling him and insulting him and making him names, and there's a point where um he makes fun of her for wearing a diaper because I guess she wears a diaper because she's like, Mom told you, and he's like, no, like I heard you guys talking about it, and I'm like, so wait. What? This feels like a very strange thing. Why?
Wait,
I don't.
what?
I don't get. This doesn't. This is not a funny joke. I don't even think, as a kid, I would have found this joke funny.
No,
Um, it's just a weird thing to because now I like. So she's like 9
something like
or
that.
whatever. Like
12, I think, something like that.
She's not a. I don't like. Yeah. Anyway, we're gonna just skip right past that, as I chose to just immediately forget it. Um, but yeah, this movie's fun. It's silly. It's fun, and I definitely remember watching it as a kid and wanting to be a spy kid.
Oh yeah,
Like,
yeah.
like I, I
Especially the
so
second one. The second one really was like, this seems fun.
yeah, yeah, that one in particular. Um, like to the point where, and so this is where it's funny because I so back when we were young, I remember there were books that we had. I can't remember I can't remember the context if they were scholastic or what,
Probably.
but there was books that we had where you could order things from them, like toys and stuff,
Yeah.
and I know that these things existed because I still to this day have something that came from one of them, because I ordered a spy kit. And it had like a pen which had a little recorder on it, and you
I
could
do
record
recall
on
this.
it.
Yeah.
And it had, and I have them within reach actually. It had these binoculars.
Is that where those come from? That's funny.
Yeah. Where, and these are dusty as all hell, where it's like it had a light which would pop up so you could have a light. And then it had, I don't remember what this button did, but if I replace the batteries, I think it does something with this. Um, I think it was
That's funny.
a video. I don't remember, but um, and the lenses are green, so it's like a night vision spy thing.
See, the people who listen on
Uh,
Spotify or on YouTube Audio or on Apple Music are now going to have to go watch the YouTube version where you can watch Jordan play with a set of binoculars for 2 minutes.
a set of binoculars that he's had since he was like 10 years old. Actually, probably 11 or 12 when we watched Spy
Oh yeah,
Kids.
well, you know what?
Um,
Since we're showing off stuff that's just off screen. See, what the audience doesn't know, Jordan, is that just off screen is a bookshelf, and we were talking about Captain Underpants, and I just feel like I should show you my Captain Underpants book that I have just off camera there. Look at that. I don't.
it's old as
It's
shit.
old as shit, and my favorite part of it is how it has the indentations on the flipperama. Hold on, let's see if I can actually do this. Hold on. Futurama.
Um,
For those of you
but yeah,
listening,
no.
I just flipped the book around. And it's also, by the way, it's for those of you who are listening, it's Captain Underpants and the invasion of the incredibly naughty cafeteria ladies from outer space, parentheses, and the subsequent assault of the equally evil lunchroom zombie nerds, close parentheses. Tons of fun. Effing and jeffing about. That was a real quick aside. Jordan, go on.
Um, so okay, couple funny things that I'm just reading about this. So, the film was nominated for Best Fantasy Film at the 28th Saturn Awards, but lost to the Lord of the Rings: Fellowship of the Ring, which I feel like it should have lost to the Lord of the
Yeah, that feels
Rings.
fair. That feels fair.
That feels fair.
That feels fair.
Um, to say that this movie did well is kind of an understatement, considering it got 4 sequels. Um,
Yeah.
this movie had a budget of 35 million, and do you want to take a guess at how much it got at the box office?
120 million.
Ooh, you're close. 147.9 million.
Oh yeah, okay. I mean, I figured when you were like it did well, I just my brain just kind of went well means more than double, so I tripled it.
Um, so considering you know, the budget that it had, it did pretty well. Um, and then another thing that people have pointed out is kind of, or was kind of a big deal at the time, was the fact that both of the parents were
Oh yeah,
Latin American.
oh yeah, yeah. That would have
Um,
been a big deal, and yeah, I mean the 4 sequels. I mean to be fair, to those sequels get perplexingly bad. Like that's what's funny about them, where you're like, I don't understand. Like the one where it's like Sylvester Stallone is an evil scientist genius.
yeah, I think
What?
that's the third one.
The third one, and then the fourth
where
one is
where it
Jeremy
where it's
Piven,
the third one where it's a video game and it's 3D.
right? And it looked terrible. Or you've got the fourth one, which is just all time puns and Jeremy
And
Piven.
it's all time puns and it's so bad. That's the worst one.
I don't know. That
Um,
third one's pretty bad.
yeah, I don't know, but I think we can agree that the best one is the second one.
I I don't remember it well enough to agree or disagree. This was one of those ones. I think I rewatched the first one, and I do recall being like, "This movie's not very good." And I remember this movie being better. I mean, clearly, contemporarily, these movies did okay because, like you pointed out, there's 3 sequels.
4 sequels.
There's a fifth one.
Uh, a reimagining Spy Kids Armageddon released in 2023.
Well, all right then. I had no idea.
I didn't either until just now. Uh, I might have to go find a reason to watch that.
I mean, we're gonna come
Apparently,
back.
it's the standalone sequel to Spy Kids All the Time in the World.
Oh, yeah. No, we're gonna do spy shit again, probably another time.
All I remember about the fourth one, and the only reason that I remember saying that it was interesting, for lack of a better word, is because from what I remember, it brings back the girl from like the girl who plays the
Oh
girl in the first
yeah, yeah,
one,
yeah, yeah. Now that you're saying that,
and
I do recall that.
she's like grown up now.
Yeah, yeah.
She's no longer a spy kid. She's graduated to just being a spy.
She's a full-born spy adult. Jordan, is that it for Spy Kids?
Yeah, what else is there to say?
Those movies get weird.
It was fine.
It's fine. It's fine. What's his face is in it? Alan Cumming, who has like just like the most unfortunate last name. That
Kuman. Alan Kuman.
no, it's pronounced Cummings.
No.
I mean, to be fair, there's also Jim Cummings, and I'm always like, man, that's an unfortunate last name. Anyway, my next one is a movie called. I mean, when we talk about spy stuff, there's always that range of like, yeah, the silly to the serious, and right in like peak serious is The Bourne Identity, a movie I think is ungodly fucking boring. Like it's just so boring. Like every part of the Bourne series is boring. Like it sets up as though there's gonna be like this mystery, and then it reveals the mystery, and the mystery's boring. So like the whole deal with it is it's like the movie opens up with they find this Matt Damon in the water, and they're like, "Who is Matt Damon?" And then Matt Damon finds out that he's Jason Bourne, and you're like, "Oh, okay, who's Jason Bourne?" And like, okay, he's an agent for like like all these movies go, like an agency, like an agency, and you're like, okay, what was the deal? Why doesn't he remember anything? And then it turns out, okay, in the first one, he was gonna assassinate this African warlord guy, and he didn't, because as he was about to assassinate him, he didn't want to assassinate him in front of his kids, so it caused them. So the guy shot him instead, which then caused them to lose his memory. And there's an evil. He turns out he's like part of a program that I guess turns him into a like efficient killing machine. And it's just kind of like, yeah, you're like, okay, who is? I just remember the final resolution. You're like, oh, who is Jason Bourne? And it's like, oh, he's just some guy.
He's just a dude.
He's just some
Just a
guy.
He's just a really, really duty dude.
And you're like, wow, that's not all that interesting. It's not really an interesting reveal. And yeah, I don't know, maybe it's because just like the notion of like a generically evil organization that that your random guy working for his own organization has to fight is kind of dull unless you add a bit of flourish to it, like your Kingsmen's or your Central Intelligence, or like unless there's more to it than he's just a random agent. It's not very engaging to me. So like none of the action sequences are real good. This is Paul Greengrass, who like that like in Taken, that camera cinematography style where it's so shaky you can't see fucking shit.
Yes.
He invented that.
Got
This
it.
is sort of the origin of that.
Got
We're like, yeah, we need
it.
to hide the fact that this guy doesn't look good in an action sequence, so we're just gonna shake the camera like this, like where the camera's like. For those of you listening on Spotify, I shook the camera a bunch.
He shucked the camera.
That's he basically came up with that, and none of the action sequences are very memorable. I didn't think they were very memorable. They weren't like interesting to look at because they were so shaky. Like I think we've kind of discussed. I love clean looking action sequences where you can see everything. That's why I love kung fu martial arts movies, and this just did not to. And I'm just being honest. I fell asleep watching it, and then I put it back on this morning, and I'm like, this is so boring. It's just really dull. It's just a really dull movie.
I understand.
That's it. That's bored. That's the Bourne identity. Maybe we'll come back to it, and I'll like try to prove to myself that these movies aren't fucking boring. But my god, this was so boring.
All right, so I watched Red, Retired, and Extremely Dangerous.
Also based on a comic book.
Also an action comedy film.
Yep.
And it's loosely inspired by the DC Comics limited series of the same name.
Very loosely. I believe it's a Frank Miller. The original comics written by. I'm pretty sure it's written by Frank Miller. Although now that I'm saying that, I'm not as convinced as I was.
I don't know. I'd have to look it up. But it's got Bruce Willis, Morgan Freeman, John Malkovich, Helen Mirren, Carl Urban, Mary Louise Parker.
Oh yeah, Carl Urban's in that movie. I forgot he was in that movie.
And it's fun.
It's really fun.
I had a good time with it, and I found out there's a sequel, and I might have to find a reason to watch the sequel.
We've seen the sequel.
Have we?
It's one of those.
Are you?
We're watching movies every week. Period.
Are you sure?
Yep. Positive.
Are you willing to bet your life on it?
No, but I'm like 98% sure.
Well, if you're not willing to bet your life on it, then I don't know that I can take you with. I don't think I can believe you.
We've definitely seen it.
I just don't. I don't trust that you're telling the truth because you're not willing to bet your life on it.
No, I'm not that confident, but I'm confident enough to know that we've seen it.
I'm not sure that we have. Anyway, this movie is fun. Bruce Willis, people trying to come after Bruce Willis. A lot of death happens.
Yep.
That's really all you need to know about this. I've summed up this movie for in the most perfect of ways. There's really nothing else to say.
I believe this is the one where he does that really sweet stunt where like he does the car turn, and as he's doing the car turn, he like gets out of the car and starts shooting. if I recall.
I I don't remember if that's Bruce Willis or if that's one of the other old guys in this one, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that's from this one.
That was pretty sweet. I
Um,
was like, this is pretty sweet.
I think. I mean, I like the part where crazy old guy is up against young like young person, and young person shoots the rocket launcher, and he shoots the gun, and the gun perfectly hits the tip of the rocket launcher shell thing and makes it explode, and he's like, yeah, don't fuck with the old people.
Don't fuck with old people. They got nothing to
Um,
lose.
I mean, yeah, exactly. And then by the end of it, it seems to be resolved, but clearly something must not be resolved if there's a sequel. But yeah, this movie, had a budget of 58 to 60 million, and it had a box office of Justin.
I don't know.
Take a guess.
100 million. I know it did. Obviously, it did well enough to get a sequel. Respectable.
199 million.
All right. I respect that.
So it did well enough to get a sequel.
It did.
Um, Nothing really much else to say about this. Bruce Willis was ripping up his pension so that he could talk to a person on a call center, because apparently he had nothing else to do with his time and fell in love with a voice. That's it.
All right. All right. So my final one, as previously mentioned, we're gonna talk about Captain America, New Captain America, Second Captain America later. Um,
Second Captain America.
but right
Technically,
now,
it's like the fourth one, but
he's Second Captain America.
oh,
Yeah. But now
oh,
I'm gonna talk about Second Captain America movie. You see what I did there? You understand what I did? You see what the Chris Evans one? It's all right. It's Captain America: Winter Soldier, Captain America 2, second Captain America movie. This movie's really good. It's definitely I still stand by it. I think it's like maybe one of the best MCU movies. It's like maybe I don't know if it's the best because I think my favorite is always going to be the Avengers, but it's definitely up there. That sequence at the beginning where he fights George St. Pierre as Batroc is just like a really good fight. I love the bit where like he's running down the boat just murdering guys, like knocking them off like crushing windpipes and knocking them off the boat to their deaths. His fighting style is really brutal. The fight in the elevator where it's like him and he's got his hand cuffed and he's fighting. The fight's so nice they do it twice. They did it again in Endgame. That fight is so good, like it's well choreographed. I will say
this is the win. This is the Winter Soldier you're talking
yeah,
about, right? Not Civil War.
yeah, Winter Soldier.
Right.
That movie,
Right.
and
I like the one in the end. Maybe this is Civil War. I think I mix them up all the time. All I know is that in whichever movie it is, probably not the one you're talking about now that I'm thinking about it. The one where it's Iron Man and it's Winter Soldier and Captain America just
yeah, no,
wailing on Iron Man. I love that scene.
that's the third one. But no, there's so many good
Okay.
like Winter Soldier, catching Cap's shield, fucking badass. Sebastian
Oh
Stan
yeah.
is really good. My one apparently in the comics, his arm can do like way more. Apparently, it can like detach itself and like attack people on its own and stuff. So apparently, the movies kind of do his arm a disservice. It's just kind of a generic robot arm in the movies, but still, he's really cool. It's a really well made movie. I understand why the Russo brothers became Marvel's like to go people to like make movies. You know, like these are the guys
Yeah.
we're gonna hire every time because they fucking nailed it the first time.
Um. I mean, yeah. Why mess with a good thing?
Right? And also the twist that Hydra was there all the time is pretty good, and you definitely felt it for at least a little while until they kind of retconned it out when it became too inconvenient. Um, I do kind of wish that they had done maybe like a second act bad guy fight where they had him fight Armin Zola and he was a robot guy.
I mean, that could have been fun.
That would have been fun. Where like when they go to the compound instead of having it where they launch a missile strike at him, they just fight him as a big robot man. I think that would have been fun. Tell me you don't want to
Yes.
watch Captain America fight a big robot man?
You will notice that I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that I didn't want that.
Also, yeah, loving Black Widow. Black Widow is also really fun in this movie as well. She's there having fun. The twists are pretty good. Who the bad guys are is fun. This and much in the same way. I appreciate that this one's like we don't. It's a thing that a lot of these Marvel movies kind of fuck up, in my opinion. Where like in order to exist in the same universe, you don't have to have the guys show up every time. Like you can
You can
just
you can name drop.
right, like name dropping is enough, and that was kind of a similar thing in Black Widow, where like, yeah, to just be like, oh, Iron Man made these, or have Iron Man drop by my, that's enough. That's all you need to indicate that these are people who exist in this world. So you don't go, oh, why aren't they here? So that way you could be, oh, they're busy. He doesn't need him here. Like he wouldn't be helping.
Yeah, like in the and gonna jump the gun a little bit, but in the Captain America movie, if they had had an excuse or a reason for why Bruce Banner couldn't be there, my issues might have been assuaged.
Right, right. But yeah, no, it's really good. It definitely, yeah. Another spoiler alert for me. Definitely made me like appreciate the new Captain America movie more than I would had I not sat down and watched it this week. Also, yeah, for years people said this was a spy movie, and I was like, I don't get it. Now having like doused myself in spy movies all week, yeah, it's a spy movie. It's very much an espionage spy movie, spy thriller. It's like a James Bond, but for Marvel. That's it. That's Captain America's second Captain America. What's your final rapid fire?
Okay. I mean, we've already done all my rapid fires.
Oh then. I thought you had one more.
No. When we do things properly, I finish before you, and you wrap things up.
That makes sense.
Five and five.
Have scenes.
So, my first have seen is a movie called Johnny English, which was a delight.
Chip, Johnny English.
Rowan Atkinson as Johnny English. You've got Natalie Imbruglia as Lorna Campbell, Ben Miller, John Malkovich, etc., 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 etc. It really, this truly is. If ever there was a parody of 007, this is it. Johnny English wants to be Agent 1, which Agent 1 is obviously a parody of Agent 007. They're MI7, which is what, 007 is. Like, every part of this is just making fun of 007. But the real Agent 1 is killed, and then all the MI7's remaining agents die at his funeral because of English incompetence. So it's like every moment of this is just English is bad. He's a bad spy. He's bad at being a spy. But he's left as the sole surviving agent able to finish Agent 1's mission. And so then every step of the way is him bumbling upwards. He is a bad spy who fucks up. And then there's the French dude who he has like distant ancestry to the to the crown, so he forces the queen to abdicate so that he can become the king, and then he's going to turn English into a prison, or England into a prison, like the entire continent, to put the world's refuse. And it's fun. It's a delight. It was, and I'm going to be honest here, more enjoyable than the real 007 was to me.
It was quite simple. A delight. A simple delight.
There's 2 sequels, so you know that it did well.
Yeah, those sequels came like way later and were a big surprise.
It still did well. It had a budget of $40 million, and it had a box office of $160.5 million.
All right.
So, did well. Although when it was first released, it was met with mixed reviews from critics, but was commercially successful.
Well, all right.
It was followed by 2 sequels. Johnny English Reborn was in 2011, which was 2003 to 2000. 9 years later. 9 years? 9 years later? I think that's right.
That sounds right.
But
That math is mathing. I cannot
might be
bother that to do math.
might be 8 years later. And then Johnny English Strikes Again. Yeah. The third one came 7 years after the second one
Oh,
in 2018.
yeah, that one's fairly recent. That I know.
Well, I mean, what do you define as fairly recent? That was 7 years ago, Justin.
Within 10 years.
Which means that which means that we're following their track record. We're due for another one coming up.
Gotta get one of them Johnny English sequels. Son of Johnny English.
I don't actually know if there's one in the works, but I could believe it.
You should do Son of Johnny English. Johnny English.
Um, but yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. But to be fair, I like Rowan Atkinson, especially as Mr. Bean, and he really, in particularly in this one, really is just Mr. Bean, but as a spy.
Yeah, but also he talks and is an asshole.
Sure, but he talks in his movies.
That is true. That is true. That is true.
So
I
yeah,
cannot argue with that.
um, I'll have to find a reason to watch the second one, and then eventually I'll have to find another reason to watch the third one.
Fair enough.
That's Johnny English.
All right. So for my first one, Jordan, I have to spoil this movie because there's a big twist in this movie, and in order to talk about why this movie sucks, I need to give it away. So before I do that, I think it'll be funny if I tell you the setup, and you will guess the twist. This is Argyle, a movie you probably don't know by name, but you would recognize it by that standee at Colossus with the cat and the bubble backpack and the Argyle sweater. And I kept going, I kind of want to see that. And you're like, what's with the cat?
Vaguely.
The plot of this is Bryce Dallas Howard is a spy novelist. She's created a series of books based on a character called Argyle. And whilst on a trip to visit her parents in the country, a man played by Sam Rockwell shows up on her flight, on her train, I should say, and tells her that her books are capable of telling the future. That for whatever reason, everything that she writes about is 100% true, and he needs her help to find this list of all of these people who have been compromised in the secret spy organization called the Division. And the big mystery of the movie, Jordan, is who is the real Agent Argyle. So, Jordan, based upon that description, and if you need further clarifying questions, I will provide them to you. Who do you believe is Agent Argyle? Oh, also, I should say, the entire movie, Agent Argyle is played by Henry Cavill, and periodically, she will see flashes of him. So, like, he'll, like, every once in a while when, like, Sam Rockwell's doing an action sequence, he'll turn into Henry Cavill. Or like there's points where Henry Cavill will straight up talk to her.
But Henry Cavill is not a real person.
Well, the question is, who is the real Agent Argyle?
The cat in the sweater.
No.
The cat that you kept saying every time we passed the poster, who's the cat?
No, that's the cat, Jordan.
Are you sure?
Yep. No, it's just a cat.
You sure it can't be the cat and that she's hallucinating the Henry Cavill and every time it was just a cat?
Try again, Jordan.
I don't know. I give up.
Of the human characters in the movie, who do you think could be Agent Argyle?
Henry Cavill.
No, Henry Cavill's not real.
But you said that he could be.
No, he is based on a real person.
Okay, well then it's got to be her.
Wow, you got there, Jordan. It took you way too long to get there, but you got there. Yes, Jordan. The big twist of this movie is that all this secret agent stuff, all this stuff.
I thought for sure that you were going to say that it was the cat and that she was hallucinating the cat doing all these things. Like,
yeah, you were expecting something way more clever.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So this is the big twist of this is that um, the character whose name is that's it, Aubrey Argyle. That Aubrey Argyle is in fact um, Rachel Kyle, Kyle, or R. Kyle, and that she is actually the secret agent that she's been writing about, and in fact. All of the events in these books actually did happen, and they are approximations of real people in real life in the movie, and
And
that
she doesn't remember any of this?
no, because she in like an action sequence wound up getting amnesia, and the director and the evil scientist of the division basically conditioned her into becoming this writer, who, in order to find out information from her, they had her write. So they made her believe that they were her parents.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, yeah. And so the back half of the movie, the first half of the movie is like it's like she's not sure what's going on, and he's dragging her through these action sequences, and it's really fun. And then, yeah, the back half of the movie, you find out this twist, and it's the stupidest fucking twist ever. It makes no sense, and there's all these really dumb action sequences. Like there's one where like she has this move called the whirly dirly where she like lifts up the upper partner and like spins him around. So like it has Bryce Dallas Howard lifting up like Sam Rockwell, and it looks fucking ridiculous because it's clearly CGI. She's clearly not physically capable of doing this, so it looks really bad.
When did this come out?
2021, I think.
Okay, interesting.
And,
Okay.
it hits a point where it's one of those movies where there's too many twists. So like, okay, yeah, you find out that Art Kyle is actually the secret agent who was trying to work to take down this evil spy agency. But then it turns out that no, she was actually a double agent, and she was a bad guy the whole time. And she was working for the bad guys the whole time. But then it turns out that no, she wasn't actually working for the bad guy, and she really was a good guy the whole time. So it's like a quadruple blind, and it's that point where you're like, it's too many twists. It's too many twists. So there's a period of the movie where you think she's gone bad, and it turns out that no, she really is still Ellie Conway, like the persona that she thinks she is, and that she's been faking it the whole time. But she does actually remember all of her memories. It's really dumb.
It sounds convoluted and dumb.
It is. It is convoluted and dumb. And so then, Jordan, the ending happens, and she basically she gets her memories back, and the whole setup is she has writer's block. She can't figure out how to end the series. So once her memories come back, the movie ends with her at like a book reading, where she's reading the final book, and Henry Cavill shows up.
So he's real.
So it turns out that he might be real, and he's like this. He's got like a mullet and a thick like Southern accent. And he's like, "I imagine you have questions for me," and then the movie ends.
I, I, no, I will not.
And then Jordan, and then it turns out there's a post credit scene where it turns out that Argyle, the real Argyle, is a Kingsman agent, and it's all connected to Kingsman.
Wait, really?
Yeah, no lie. But it's confusing because it says Argyle Book 1. And so the movie, so it implies that it's a movie that's based on the book that she wrote, which is fictional, but then he might be real because he shows up. But he's not Argyle, she is. So I'm not sure if the implication is that she's part of Kingsman. It's a bad movie. Like I will say it does have that like it's Matthew Vaughn, it's the guy who makes Kingsman. So it has that like Matthew Vaughn sheen where like at their worst his action sequences are at least colorful and dynamic and like easy to follow and like fun. Sam Rockwell is once again fucking amazing. Like Sam Rockwell, Jordan, is, say it with me now, never bad at
Never bad in anything he's in.
There we go. He's never bad in anything. And he's not bad in this. He eventually gets frosted tips. His hair looks bad. Like he's got that kind of haircut where it's like his sides are brown and he's got a big blonde stripe up the center of his head, and it looks bad. Like, dude, your haircut looks bad. It's a bad haircut.
Okay. I
But
understand.
otherwise, also Samuel Jackson is there, which also makes it confusing. But Bryan Cranston is in it, and he does a weird, stupid accent. That's really funny. Catherine O'Hara is also in it. She's really good. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else about that movie and its bad twist. It's a bad twist. Like I'm doing it. I'm not doing a great service of describing it, but it's one of those ones where you're like, what? What? And it's like the entire back half of like the first hour of this movie, where it's like a mismatch, odd couple type story of an author, like who has managed to predict all this spy shit. Like that's fun, but once it turns out that she's actually a spy, it's awful. From that moment on, though, the second hour of this is awful. It's so bad. Like Kingsman's way better by like a country mile. This was not good.
I understand.
That's Argyle. But also,
I understand.
once again, it made me go, man, those Superman movies do Henry Cavill dirty, because he's really charismatic in this, as like this figment of Bryce Dallas Howard's imagination. He's really good. He's really charismatic, and he's really fun. And like when he gets to do, there's a lot of really cool. The part that I was interested in, where there's this really cool action sequence where. Yeah, where Sam Rockwell's beating up a bunch of spies, and it's really cool. It's really good. It's like a Kingsman fight sequence, and it keeps flashing between him and Henry Cavill, and I'm like, I wonder if they did they have to like shoot that twice? I guess they must have had to shoot that twice in exactly the same way, in exactly the same manner, and like, did Henry Cavill have to did they watch each other? Did they like work together on it so they could match their like actions completely synchronistically? Like, I was so fascinated by that. And it was the best part of the movie. And then the rest of the movie sucks. It was really disappointing.
I understand. I understand. Put it on a shirt.
Put it on a shirt. Put
That
on a
sentence.
shirt!
The rest of it was, or it was 1 good hour, and the rest of it was really shit. Put
Put
it on
on
a
a
shirt.
shirt! That's it. That's
Um.
Argyle. Bad movie, Jordan. Not a good movie. Bad movie.
So my second have seen was one where it was like I was aware that I had seen it. Like I remember like one scene from it, so it was like I knew that I had seen it, but I had like I couldn't remember a lot. Um, and so Mr. and Mrs. Smith, you got Brad Pitt, you got Angelina Jolie.
I'm
They're
aware I've
bored.
seen it. I can't tell you anything
Yeah,
about it, but I'm aware I've seen it.
yeah, yeah. They're a bored upper middle class married couple who, whoopsie poopsie, they find out they work for different spy organizations and get ordered to kill each other. And then there's the scene where they're both in the house and they're shooting at each other, and she's like, "Did I get you, baby?" And like that's the scene that I remember.
Yep, that's all I
Um,
remember.
and so I expected more of the movie to be that, because that's what I remembered. And it's like, no, that scene happens pretty, like, that's a pretty fast scene, and they very rapidly are like, oh, actually, we do love each other, and then team up against the two spy organizations that are trying to kill them. And then the movie ends with them going back to, because the movie starts with them at couple counseling, and then the movie ends with them back at couple counseling, but now they're happy because they're no longer lying to each other about the fact that they're being spies, and like, there's open and honesty between them, because that's what's important in any spy relationship, is you have to have open and honest communication with your partner.
Right? As long
uh,
as both of them get to do the spying, that's all that matters.
that's really all that matters, because that's I like to imagine that this movie takes place in the same world as Spy Kids, and Angelina Jolie's character and Brad Pitt's character have children, and they end up partners with Junie and the girl, and like they all work in the same Spy Kids organization.
I could believe it. I could believe that. That seems reasonable.
Um, this movie had a budget of 110 million. It made at the box office 487.3 million.
All right.
Um, Also, apparently, uh, this filming marked the beginning of Pitt and Jolie's real life personal relationship,
It did.
which would later result in a romantic relationship, marriage, and children from 2005 to 2016.
Yep. That's where they
Um,
wound up together.
and also, apparently, in 2024, a television series of the same name, loosely inspired by the film, premiered on Amazon Prime, starring Donald Glover and married couple and Maya Erskine as two strangers paired up as spies and posing as a married couple. Produced by Arnon Mishal, is the only cast or crew member returning from the original film.
Yeah, apparently it's good. I've heard it's a good show.
I mean, it could be a good show, but it has nothing to do with the movie that it's named from.
No,
From
no, it does not. Nope, nope. Jordan, is that
so that's Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
that is indeed Mr. and Mrs. So Jordan, my next one, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, is also Mr. and Mrs. Smith. It's that television show we were just talking about.
Oh yeah.
No, it's not. I'm just kidding.
Oh.
It's actually a movie called Spy, starring Melissa McCarthy and Jason Statham, and I think that chick from the IT crowd. I think she was on the IT crowd, and 50 Cent is there, and it's directed by Paul Feig, and honestly, it's pretty good. This movie was a pleasant surprise. I remember the first time we watched it, not entering into it just to kind of watch a movie and not expecting much because it's a Melissa McCarthy movie, and most of her movies suck. Like this like I remember this was coming off the back of like Tammy and Identity Theft, and I will never forget Identity Theft because we watched that in like a full theater and people liked it and we were perplexed by that. We were like, how? This movie is really bad. I don't get it. And then so this one, Spy, is very pleasantly surprised. It's quite a good movie. It's really funny. It's surprisingly funny. It's Jordan, do you remember Spy?
Not really. Kind of a little bit, I think, maybe. But to be fair, with Melissa McCarthy films, I find that they kind of get mixed up in my head and merged into one.
Yeah, no, fair enough. This is the one where she's oh my god, I can never remember his name. Oh my god, what is it? Oh, it's gonna bug me. I'm gonna Google it because he's really funny. My god, why can I never remember his name?
I don't know. Why can't you remember his name?
Jude Law. Jude Law. He's there. It's basically, Melissa McCarthy is a CIA analyst desk jockey who is basically the person. You know the person in the chair.
Yeah, she's the Johnny English of this movie.
Yeah, she's the person in the chair. For
The person in the chair who gets thrown into the spotlight even though they're not qualified and should not be there.
Well, that's what's kind of fun about this is she is very qualified. That's the gag. Is the joke is she's hyper qualified and she shouldn't be sitting at a desk. She nailed all of her quizzes. She's highly physically confident. Yeah. She's just really
think I remember
good at
that
this. One. Yeah. And she's just really nervous. And it's like Melissa McCarthy comes in like two flavors. She's yelly, screamy Melissa McCarthy, where she's just mad at everyone. Or she's the straight man, Melissa McCarthy. And like this is both. Where she starts off where she's really timid, and then she eventually goes undercover and becomes angry Melissa McCarthy. And this features one of my all-time favorite Melissa McCarthy insults, which is I'm gonna ram my fist down your throat and shove my other fist up your ass and play you like a fucking accordion. I think she says it in more than one. I swear she says it in more than one movie, but it makes me laugh every fucking time because it's just so funny. Just to play you like a fucking accordion. It's so funny. And it's surprisingly well directed. The action sequences are in my opinion, quite well done. There's a really fun kind of Jackie Chan kind of esque fight sequence where she's fighting a guy with a frying pan in a kitchen. And if she's not doing the action sequences, they got a stunt double who looks enough like her that it's really believable looking. That it looks good. Like wow, she looks believable in these action sequences, and they look good. Her friend who 50 Cent is just obsessed with is just really funny. Jason Statham is hilarious. He's so funny. Like I watched the outtake reel of this where it's just Paul Feig just giving him lines off camera and him being like,
yeah.
I ate a bunch of I can't do a Jason Statham impression. He's like, I ate a bunch of microchips and then I shit out a computer. And it's just like I was once in a stream with a bunch of Brazilian women, and I was fighting. And it was like stuff like that where she's saying ridiculous things. I would do this and then this, and like he keeps breaking. And just like it just seems like a normal dude that they're making him say. Like, you know that I call it the Jason Statham voice.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
not his real voice. Like he doesn't
Where he talks kind of like this, where he's got the deep gravelly kind of voice.
like the voice he had in Crank. Like that's not his real
Yeah.
voice. He doesn't talk like that. He, in fact, talks like a regular guy. And that kind of
Yeah.
blew my mind. Yeah, it kind of blew my mind a little bit. Like, oh yeah, he seems like he's a normal dude. But no, I was impressed by this. I was impressed by how much I like this. I was like, this was the other one where I was like, maybe I don't hate spy movies. Like, this was like the third one. Like, this is like Wednesday, and I was like, I really like this movie. This is really funny. I'm having a good time. Like, this is well made. The action is good. There's a really fun twist. Where Jude Law, he's basically James Bond, and you think he gets killed at the beginning, and like you have no reason to think. Spoiler alert for this movie, but it turns out he's alive, and you have no reason to believe that he's alive. Like the movie doesn't hint at it, and then it shows up. And when he first shows up, you think that because the whole bit is they think or they suspect there's like a mole in the agency, and he comes back into the movie. It turns out he's alive, and it's a pretty good twist. And you think he's the bad guy. He's the one who's gone rogue, and he like kind of lays into Melissa McCarthy. And it turns out that like there's this character early on, Karen something, who she's really overly nice. Like they're like, she's a fucking bitch or whatever. We hate her.
So she's a sheep, Merryweather from Zootopia, where she seems like the nice one, and then she betrays them.
Yeah, it turns out she's the one who's betrayed them. Yeah. And you're like, oh yeah. So that's a pretty good twist. We're like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. And you think he's gone rogue, and it turns out no, he hasn't. And there's another really funny character played by Rose Byrne, who's the bad guy, who Melissa McCarthy convinces her that she's a bodyguard hired by her dad, and Melissa McCarthy's just mean to her. And she's got this, like, I don't know if it's supposed to be a boyfriend, but there's this male character who comes in who's, like, part of her entourage that she just constantly lays into. Like, where she's just mean to him for no reason and unprompted. And it's just, she's the one who's like, I'm going to do the accordion thing. She's the one who's,
right.
Yeah. And it's just super funny every time he's like, come on, Kevin, stop fucking up. It's like, dude, what Kevin do? Like, it's really funny. And yeah, she's also really funny. There's a bit at the end, where she sort of develops an affinity for Melissa McCarthy. But when she's like, oh yeah, was she suspicious of me? She's like, no, she had no idea until you gave yourself away that you were doing a great job. And I just love the idea that she's just hyper competent. It's really fun. It's a really fun movie. Totally worth checking out.
All right.
That Spy, really good. Impressed.
Okay. All right. Now,
Also,
ladies.
my final hat scene.
What?
It's my final half scene.
I see.
We're in the have not scenes, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Now it's time for have not scenes. So I'm gonna say this, and it's gonna sound funny, but my first have not seen is ... The Avengers ... But not the one that you're thinking of.
Oh, so not the Marvel one, because that's the one I was thinking of.
Not the one you were thinking of.
I was thinking of the Marvel one, so not the Marvel one.
Not the Marvel one.
Not the Marvel one, because the one I was thinking of was the Marvel one.
Yes, but this, in fact, is not the Marvel one.
Which one is this, then, Jordan? It is, in fact, not the Marvel one.
This is a 1998 American satirical spy action comedy film.
Wait.
Directed by...
1998? Really? This isn't like a movie from the 80s?
This is 1998.
No shit. Okay, joking aside, I'm familiar with this. This is the one with Sean Connery, right?
Yes, it is.
It came out in 19... Wow, I thought it was older than... That's the one where they all sit around a table and they're teddy bears, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay, yeah. Why are they teddy bears? We're just gonna jump right into this. First.
So, this is gonna be where I'm gonna state here that it lost me So I've missed out on some. So that's where, as you've been talking, if I seem distracted, it's because I'm trying to read the Wikipedia to kind of refresh myself on things that happened in this movie. Um, so it doesn't really. Oh, there it is. Uh, they all don teddy bear suits to disguise their identities.
I mean, that'll do it, I suppose.
Uh, So it's the secret of a secret organization led by De Winter, which I believe De Winter is supposed to be Sean Connery, and they all don teddy bear suits to disguise their identities. However, one of them, however, looks exactly like Peel, which is one of the characters.
Right.
Um,
So what is this movie
um,
about?
so the Cold Notes version is um, Psychopath has weather machine. Psychopath tries to blackmail the world's countries into paying him to give them good weather.
Right. Right.
That's the overarching thing.
And
And
Sean
then,
Connery is the good guy.
as far as I can tell, he has a split personality.
So he is not the good
So
guy.
so he both is and is not the good guy.
And this
Schrodinger's bad guy.
and the split personality, is that like a twist or is that just
I don't remember.
all right?
Um, but I'm gonna guess probably. Also, reading the Wikipedia, clones show up in this at some point.
This movie sounds weird.
Yeah, I feel like it's one that I'm gonna have to rewatch in my own time because it just really did not stand out in my memory in great details. Like it's one of those like I know I watched it. I remember the teddy bears. I remember seeing Sean Connery in a weather machine, but like specific details are lost.
All right.
That being said, it is apparently an adaptation of a television show, which was from 1961 to 1969.
That I knew. Yeah.
Um, it's got Ralph Fiennes and Uma Thurman in it.
I almost watched it once because I almost took it out of the library like many years ago, thinking it was the Avengers.
And yeah, so it says it's got Sir August de Winter, who is a mad scientist bent on controlling the world's weather, who is played by Sean Connery.
Who's the main
Um,
character?
I think it's supposed to be the two secret agents, Ralph Fiennes and Uma Thurman, John Steed and Emma Peel.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
They're the titular secret agents who are on the title, like on the poster.
I understand.
So I would have to assume that they
I don't understand.
that they are the whatchamacallit, the heroes. But see, that's where it's confusing because Peel, who I think was the girl, or Uma Thurman, suffers from dissociative identity disorder.
Ah.
So like that plays into it in some way.
Movie personality disorder, multiple personality disorder.
Um, and yeah, De Winter takes an immediate liking to Peel. They both share a love of weather. Steed and Emma follow a lead to Wonderland Weather, yada yada yada. They discover two dead men in teddy bear suits who are the members of a secret organization, which is led by De Winter. So yeah, and then the whole spy organization, the spy master is codenamed Mother, and the second in command is Father, who I don't remember Father or Mother, so they must not show up a lot. But pardon me. Father is apparently played by Fiona Shaw, whoever that is. And then apparently there's a reference back to the original show in there, which would have meant nothing to me. But Patrick McNee, who was Steed in the original series, makes a vocal cameo as the voice of Invisible Jones.
All right. George, is that it for the Avengers?
I mean, yeah, I like the other Avengers more.
I can't do I can't do the Avengers thing. Anyway, okay. You know what? We'll end. So my first one was when I thought CIA secret agent stuff. One of the first movies that popped into my head was the 1990s classic True Lies, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. I was gonna say Sylvester Stallone. That's not true. And in this movie, Arnold Schwarzenegger plays a super secret spy who works for a super secret spy organization, the name of which doesn't matter. But his wife, played by Jamie Lee Curtis, and his daughter don't know that he's a super secret spy, and they think that he's a salesman, and he goes on business trips that are missions, and his family doesn't know that he's a secret agent because he can't. And the movie doesn't really contain a bunch of spy shit. It's really more about Arnold Schwarzenegger's trying to make his boring life work. And so he discovers, because he goes to surprise the wife, who is upset because he missed the daughter's birthday dinner. He goes to visit her at the office, and he overhears the wife, and he thinks that the wife is cheating because he hears a conversation between the wife and the wife's coworker, which like pretty explicitly makes it sound like she's cheating. Like she's like, oh, I'm gonna go meet this guy, and the coworker's like, yeah, you go get it, girl, you get that. Girl, you go get that, girl. You know, she's black, so she's like, yeah. And it just really looks like she's cheating. And so then Arnold Schwarzenegger misuses his secret agent resources to bug and spy on his wife. And he finds out that the wife is meeting up with, I forget his name. Doesn't matter. This guy who's Bill Paxton. He meets up with Bill Paxton, who is pretending to be a secret agent. And so, and also Tom Arnold is his guy in the chair, and he's there as well. And they're spying on him as he's lying to the wife. And it turns out that the wife is in fact not cheating on Arnold Schwarzenegger, but it has been taken in by this used car salesman. So she believes him and is trying to help him earnestly, and is being tricked. And so there's this really long subplot of him tracking his wife to see if his wife is cheating, to the point where like they kidnap her and put her in a room and then put like a voice modulator and then ask her a bunch of absurdly invasive questions about her sex life.
Why?
To prove that she's not cheating on Arnold Schwarzenegger.
But didn't they already prove that she wasn't cheating on him?
This is how they prove.
Oh, okay.
And so
that feels morally wrong.
And so then they trick her into they send her on a mission where she has to do basically to seduce this diplomat who is Arnold Schwarzenegger, who is pretending to not be Arnold Schwarzenegger, and has gotten a French guy to say a bunch of lines, and but it's really obviously he's not speaking. It's very clearly like there's a point.
But okay, wait. So his wife has to seduce her husband,
but she doesn't know.
Right?
She doesn't know.
Right. Sure. How long? Okay. I have questions.
Yeah.
How long have they been? How long have they been married?
I mean, the daughter's a teenager.
Okay, so for many years.
A while.
And I mean, we've all seen Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah. I don't believe that there is enough costume makeup in the world to hide Arnold Schwarzenegger and have him not.
He's just kind of vaguely hiding off in the shadows, and if you had an ounce of observation skills, you would notice it was Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah. But the wife is supposed to seduce him.
Right. Yeah.
So she will presumably have to look at him
when he's naked. Yeah.
Not just generally at his face.
Oh no!
That she's been married to for 15 years and would instantly recognize.
He's off in the distance and in shadows, so you can't immediately tell it's him. His face is obscured.
But she's supposed to be seducing him.
Yeah, it's dark. It's dark enough, and it's far away enough that it's believable.
In order to seduce a person, you have to get close enough to them.
That's where you're right. Where there's a point where she was about to sleep with him, and at that point, you would think she'd figure it out.
Yes. Exactly. As soon as she's within like a distance, forget sleeping with him, forget being naked. She's not going to instantly recognize him by his penis,
Oh,
Justin. As soon as she gets within sight of him, she should immediately recognize her
well, no,
husband.
I mean
I don't care what costume he's wearing.
to be fair, a lot of that sequence is she's not looking at him. She's like facing away from him for a lot of that sequence for that
I,
exact reason.
I feel like you're willfully missing the
No,
point
no,
of
that they
once she turns around and looks
yeah,
at
yeah, I don't
him.
disagree, but what I'm saying is the entire sequence. No, they've done it. There's a point where she'll figure it out, but it's not immediate. And also the point where she should figure it out when she's not looking is very clear. He's got a tape recorder that he's playing this French guy's talking to her, so she doesn't recognize his voice, but you can hear him clicking a tape recorder, like you can hear it. It's really dumb, and
That
like
sounds really
a
dumb.
lot of this there's a lot of scenes of like Arnold like infiltrating parties as like a spy, but he's Arnold Schwarzenegger and he sticks out like a fucking sore thumb. So you would like
Yeah.
immediately be like, who's this very suspicious giant man like walking through this party that he stands out like a sore fucking thumb?
Yeah.
It's like what
Yeah.
the and like yeah no the and then so then yeah they do this whole subplot and he's like in the middle of doing this fake mission with the wife. And then the movie realizes that the movie has to happen, and I got bored and stopped paying attention at this point. And then it just kind of becomes a generic action movie where he's fighting this like Arab guy who wants to do a bad thing. It's not very interesting. None of the action was incredibly interesting to me. I was just mostly bored the whole time. Other than the parts where he's trying to fuck with the wife, where I was like, this feels morally unethical.
Morally reprehensible.
Right. And then there's a really funny bit where they effectively like they make the used car salesman like piss himself from fear, from like scaring the shit out of him. For like, don't do this ever again. And so then at the movie ends with the Jamie Lee Curtis, the wife, discovers she likes being a spy. So the movie ends with it's like a year later, and now she's also a spy. And they run into the used car salesman guy, and he's now a waiter, and he's trying to pull the same tricks on some other poor woman, and the wife shows up and is like, yeah, don't do that, and then he pees himself again, and it's pretty funny. Other than that, I did not enjoy this movie. I can't say that it's a bad movie because it is a very iconic action movie that a great many people liked. I did not like it. I did not. I thought that the middle part was very dull, and I didn't think any of the action was particularly exciting.
I understand. I understand that sentiment, and that segues. If you're done,
That's it.
segues
That's it for
nicely
True
into
Lies. That's the end. That's the end of True Lies.
my final have not seen, which uh I figured we'd end on the most
Yep.
famous
We
spy of
we
all
we
time.
had a similar thought. Feels like a
Because
nice bookend.
if you're doing spy stuff, it feels like you have to do 007. So
You have to do James Bond.
I did Doctor No. So what's funny is so what's funny is uh I did it. Doctor No is the very first James Bond film, but it is not the first of the books. It is actually the sixth book.
It also is
Um,
technically not the first James
and
Bond thing.
and so uh, the what's funny is, from what I can tell anyway, the first book is actually Casino Royale.
It is, yeah.
So while I technically did the first movie, you did the first book.
Yeah, the very first James Bond adaptation is apparently an episode of a random TV show, which name I don't remember, that is based on Casino Royale. And
Interesting.
there is another Casino Royale movie in like the 70s or 80s that is also an adaptation of the same book.
Um, but so, and this is where I feel like this isn't a controversial opinion, but from what I'm reading, where was it?
What did Archer have to say about? Wait, did Archer have a review of Doctor No in his list?
Oh, it was the first one on there. Yeah, I can't remember exactly what he had to say.
I'm curious.
I, I we'll have to you future Justin. cut it in here.
Yeah, we'll cut it in here.
Uh,
We'll cut in what Arch had to say about Doctor No. Wait, did he
because
have something to say about Goldeneye as well?
yeah.
Yeah, we'll slug that in and we'll slide that in when we get to Goldeneye.
Um, but so what this movie is about really doesn't matter because
There's an evil
you
organization.
you
They want to blow up the world. These movies are all
so
the fucking same.
there. Well, not even just that, but the reason why what this movie is about doesn't really matter is because James Bond is become so synonymous with spy movies that any description I could describe like half of the movies that I watched this week, and they're a James
Yeah.
Bond
I'm
movie.
sure there's probably an evil guy. The bad guy's name is Doctor No. He's got an evil missile that he wants to shoot for
He wants to
reasons,
do a thing where he's doing a thing so he can do a thing,
right?
and James Bond has to
There's a
stop him.
love interest. They're not very interesting.
Um, and so I didn't much care for this film, quite frankly. I thought it was boring
Yeah,
because
fair enough.
for me, when you're doing like James Bond is to me synonymous at this point with comedy. It's a comedy thing. You do a thing like this to make fun of a thing like this,
Right? Yeah, right.
and
Like I understand
so
that you can't have the thing that makes fun of this without having this, but this
yeah,
just isn't doing it for me.
this doesn't do it for me because I'm waiting for the joke, and there is no joke because it's supposed to be taken
So okay,
seriously.
but that's my question about because okay, truthfully, when we get to Golden Eye, I would like to come back to James Bond because is it silly?
I think it's silly.
Well, but like I mean like is it like lots of gadgets and goofs and gags, or is it more like
Oh
trying to
no,
be the
no.
1960s equivalent to the Daniel Craig movies?
Well, in this one, there's not really. It wasn't big on technology
Interesting.
so much. It was because, like, for example, I'm trying to find an example of stuff they use. Um, Dent travels to Crab Key and is given a tarantula to kill Bond. Not like a fancy poison dart thing or anything, like
Right.
literally a spider, right? Or at a certain point, the assassins try to run Bond off the road, but themselves crash and die. Like they don't like put down caltrops or have like a spy car. Like no, they literally just try to run him off the road. So it's like this one is really it's and this is part of why I found it boring. It's too realistic.
Yeah,
It's
fair.
not
Fair. That's
like
interesting. That's an
I
interesting
find
sentiment.
I find Bond movies and spy movies fun when they're over the top because
That's
to me
very
and
interesting.
we talked about this a little bit off stream, but for me when it comes to spy stuff there's a cognitive dissonance of like I'm aware that spies to some exist like to some extent do exist, and I'm fully aware
They
that
don't do
nine
this
times out
though.
of ten they don't do this. They're going to be in boardrooms. They're going
Right.
to be doing like it's very boring stuff. So I have a cognitive dissonance of like I have a hard time believing this, like putting myself into this world,
It's a lot more
and
like
so that's
Jason
where
Bourne
that
and a little less car chases and martinis and
yeah, and so
suits
that's
and
where like I view spies almost like a superhero,
yeah.
which I think is why I enjoy like the Black Widow or even the Kingsman, where it's like they're not they're not realistic.
That's
They're not
why
they're
that's
not realistic,
that's
and
why the
that's why it's
Craig ones
fun.
it was so boring to me. Where I was like, yeah, this is all right, but I've seen better versions of this that are more interesting,
Like
that are more dynamic, that
like
are more
I guess ultimately
for
for
me. This is
me,
for me personally.
yeah, ultimately for me, like it comes down to because I inherently from the onset don't find the idea super believable. At that point, I can't engage with this when it's trying to be serious, and so it has to be so over the top that I'm like, well, yeah, it's not serious. It's not trying to be
So
serious.
that's so so okay. Well, what about So do you remember Craig as Bond? How would you compare? Could you compare him to Connery as Bond?
Not real, a little bit, not enough that I'd feel comfortable enough to fully give an opinion. I just remember him being very like
Serious.
serious, like I'm ooh,
Yeah.
and like yeah, again, like the thing that's being made fun of.
Right. And like, is Sean Connery charming in any way?
I guess I don't know. I mean, in the 1960s way.
Yeah, fair enough. Where he's negging the poor woman and he's talking to her like shit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
kind of, a little bit.
that's so
Like
interesting. That's very
it's not,
interesting.
it's not. I didn't feel like it was overly sexist, but again, it's the 1960s, so.
Fair enough. Yeah, I like I said, I would like to come back to James Bond for reasons I'm going to get into. Are you good with Doctor No?
Oh, I mean, yeah. Ultimately, my summation, my feelings are just that um, it was kind of boring for me.
We'll,
Also, apparently,
we'll bounce back
uh,
into it as we go through, just because I have comparisons I'd like to make because I have an opinion
also,
on Goldeneye that may surprise you.
where is it? Um, there it is. It had a budget of 1.1 million, and it made 59.5
I
million.
mean, yeah, it's a James Bond movie. They always do well.
Uh, and so while the film
He was a popular
did
character.
it was a financial success. Uh, it received a mixed critical reaction upon release, but it has gained a reputation over time as one of the series' best
Yeah, no
installments.
one's favorite James Bond movie is Doctor No. Yeah, James Bond mostly he exists in like the 70s and 80s. Like when you look at there was a really good chart I saw of all the James Bond movies, and like from like 1990 to like the newer ones, they're way more spaced out. Whereas in the 70s and 80s, there's a bunch more of them. It's really quite funny. Jordan, is that it for Doctor No?
Yeah, it was a movie.
It sure was a movie. So with that, I find your opinions on Doctor No interesting because my question when I was going back, I wanted to pick a decently aged James Bond movie because yeah, I just, as discussed, I don't like the Daniel Craig one. And when I was watching Goldeneye, there was a period where I asked myself, I'm like, is it Daniel Craig? Because I really liked Goldeneye. I was surprised how much I like Goldeneye. It was so much fun. Pierce Brosnan is like effortlessly charming. He's so charming in a way that like I get why women like him. I will say that like the sequences where he's romantic still suck and they're still the most boring part of the movie, but the action sequences are so over the top. Like there's this exceptionally funny car chase where James Bond is chasing after the bad guys and James Bond is just in a tank. He's just in a tank, just tearing through the city, and he keeps doing these really funny scenes of James Bond very seriously driving this tank. And it's really funny, and it's really fun. And like all the Sean Bean is in it. He's got like this facial deformity as the bad guy. The big twist is that he's 006, and you think that that James Bond got him killed, but it turns out that he's alive. And this movie is during the Cold War, or it's like just post Cold War. So the whole bit is it's like the big twist is he's part of a group of Russians who trusted the British government, but the British government screwed them over, and so he's looking for revenge. And there's the one James Bond villain in it who she fuck it, I'm just gonna say she gets off on pain.
Ah, got
Like
it.
yeah, she straight up just gets off on killing people. Like she'll like shoot someone and then she'll
Oh,
look for
not her own pain. She's not a masochist.
I think that is a version of masochism, but she gets off on other people's pain.
No,
Sadomasochist. She's a
yeah, I was gonna
sadomasochist.
say I believe getting off on others is
Yeah, she's a
sadomasochist.
sadomasochist. And her big thing is she kills people by crushing them with her thighs. So she like kills like multiple people by just anaconda-ing them with her thighs. Like this one guy she's having sex
Well,
with and she kills him with her
I
thighs.
mean, if you gotta
You
go,
gotta go. I mean, that's certainly a way to go. But like, it's yeah, she's so weird and apparently, and because everyone, if you know GoldenEye, you know there's the N64 game.
of course.
apparently in the game they've just completely changed her character to not be a sadomasochist who sexually gets off on people's pain. But when I was watching this, I was like, I'm really digging this, and this is really fun for the exact reasons you said. Where it's so over the top, it almost feels like a parody of James Bond in a James Bond movie. Like that's how over the top this feels, and it's absolutely working for me because it's so goofy. So that's why I'm like, well, maybe if I went to the 1970s, and that's why I'm not done with this franchise. I want to go back to it and examine and like investigate more and find out, man, maybe if we hit, maybe I'll like the one of the Sean Connery ones, or
I mean,
maybe,
yeah, who knows? Maybe by the second or third Sean Connery one, maybe it gets a little bit more fun.
right,
But
or
it,
like is
like maybe the
Timothy,
maybe the technology for filming becomes a little bit more
like
able.
is the Timothy Dalton or the Roger Moore ones, are they silly and fun? Like it's the 1980s, I can believe it. Like I want to, and also there's just spy shit we didn't hit that. There's more spy shit. I like to come back to spies. But yeah,
I mean,
I was surprised by how much I like Goldeneye.
there's still more Johnny English
There's
movies.
still more Johnny English movies, yeah. So that's it for our spy shit. Wait, it's not. It is. That's the main topic. We're gonna wrap up with a big old review. We've made you wait long enough. We're gonna talk about.
Oh shit! Yeah, I totally forgot about that. Right,
We gotta talk about Captain America 4. That was the whole point of this episode. Let's talk about
right.
Captain America 4.
I much like the movie itself. It was forgettable, and I forgot about
I woke
that.
up this morning and I forgot I watched it. No. Okay. Okay. So I think the key with this Marvel stuff. I don't know how to start this, Jordan. Okay, I'll start it with the title of the video, which is just going to be. I was pleasantly surprised by this movie.
It was fine.
It was serviceable, is how I would put it.
That that's what the title will be. I was pleasantly surprised with this movie. In brackets, Jordan thought it was fine.
It was fine. It's fine. It's fine. Like I will say, yeah, having watched Captain America 2 really made me enjoy this because I liked all the stuff that was distinctly Captain America. Like I enjoyed that when he's Captain America, when Sam is Captain America, his fighting style is different. Like every person who uses the shield all kind of has a similar fight style. And I really like that. It's like that's Captain America's combat style, if that makes any sense.
So okay, that and that's great that you like the combat and you like the fighting and yes, I enjoyed all that stuff too.
Compliment sandwich.
But
Compliment sandwich. That hasn't been said.
you've given the compliment. It's time for me to give the sandwich.
That hasn't been said.
So my big problem with this movie, and I walked out and said this, it's confused. It is a confusing
so
movie.
confused movie.
You can't decide if it wants to be a sequel to the Hulk or if it wants to be a Captain America movie.
And it's not even a sequel. It's not a sequel to Captain. This is not Captain America 4. Which, to be fair, we make fun of it for that. It never pretends to be. It is very much a sequel to that, to the Captain Falcon or Captain, the Falcon and Winter Soldier show. It is very much a sequel to that.
Yeah, in
Very
terms
much.
in terms of movie language and I don't know how to articulate it. It's almost a soft reboot. Almost. Kind of.
In a way that works
Like-
for me. It works for me. I know it doesn't work for you.
Like-
But it works for me.
Well, it's not that it doesn't work for me. It's just, again, all the Hulk stuff is what makes it not work for me.
Well, I
All the Hulk stuff and not addressing why Hulk isn't
the
there.
fact
If they
that
had
Hulk
a
isn't there, it is weird.
if they had a line where like Captain America is like, man, we need to call Bruce in on this, or we need to call,
He's
or
off
he
planet
said
looking
something
for
like
his
that.
son.
And yeah, even something like that, or if he was like he's helping Shang-Chi right now,
Yeah.
because they set that up. If they had a reason, or like he would, but he's like afraid of General Ross, or like some reason for why he wasn't there.
I do enjoy the stuff that's like, yeah, this is a lived in. Like, I love it when the universe feels lived in without having to have a cameo. Like, where you're like, yeah, okay, now we are addressing that bit from the Eternals. And yeah, we are addressing what happened to this character from the Hulk and what happened to General Ross. I have what I call micro issues with this movie, where like it's dumb shit that's dumb, but it doesn't like okay, the biggest example is, and Jordan joked about how oh, General Ross is a completely different person now, and then I went, oh well, that's because the previous guy who played him passed away, and Jordan was like, ooh, this feels insensitive, but the movie constantly draws attention to it
More than once.
more than once, where it's like, yeah, man, I look different now. It's like, well, okay, if you okay, that's weird that you keep drawing attention to it.
It's not. It's not even that they're like he looks different. He's like he keeps saying like I've changed. I'm a different
I'm
person
almost an
now.
entirely different person now, and you're like, oh, why are you
I'm
doing
trying.
this?
I'm trying hard to be a different person,
And
and it's like we get it.
I will give this movie credit that the movie this movie has a problem that's not this movie's fault. It's the people who promoted the movie's fault. And I will say that the Red Hulk bit, I don't feel a bit bad giving this away. It's a spoiler in the movie, but it's not a spoiler because it's in all the trailers. You know Red Hulk is in this. That is a significant spoiler, and that completely ruins this movie. Because the fact that he turns into the Red Hulk narratively in this movie totally works. And like it would work better if he was William Hurt, the original Thunderbolt Ross. But for that character in the MCU, it is very much a like ironic punishment school of resolution, and it works. Like the fact that his ultimate punishment is he gets turned into a Hulk is a great character beat for that character, and it totally worked within the confines of this movie, and it's a decent twist. Like the movie doesn't telegraph it. Like if you didn't know that he was going to turn into the Red Hulk, and you wouldn't know unless you knew like
If you know the character, like if you know Thunderbolt Ross and you know a little bit of the comic history, then you can predict it coming. But like as a casual moviegoer, if you don't know,
but
you wouldn't know.
you
You
would
would only you would know because they put it in all the fucking trailers and ruined
right.
it. But in terms of the movie itself, you would
If this
it would
wasn't
be a
in the
surprise.
trailer, it would be a fun surprise for people who knew, because you'd be like, wait, he's getting doused with gamma rays. Was he gonna turn into the Red Hulk? And it'd be a legit like, oh, that's a pleasant surprise. Like that you'd be legit.
Yeah.
Like and I said this when we talked about the marketing for this movie. When I said that if this were 5 years ago, Marvel, they could have gotten away with that. They wouldn't have put him in the trailer.
Well, so I think they still
Or
would
he would have been in
and-
like trailer 3. He wouldn't have been in like the second trailer.
Yeah, he would have been in one of the trailers, or like I don't necessarily think they would have shown him, but they would have, like, for example, they would have had a scene where it cuts to the fight scene or whatever, and we see a shot of the concrete and we see a foot,
Yeah.
like the foot print,
Yeah.
and it would be giant, and then they would play it. If they had been smart, they would have played it in such a way where it would have been, oh, people think that's just the Hulk. The Hulk is going to be in this movie.
Oh, that also
and
was
then
weird, yeah.
and then you reveal at the end of the movie, like you find out that it's the Red Hulk, and then people probably would, like, I would have been less frustrated that it didn't have the Hulk in it, because I wouldn't have known.
Right. And like I do think again that the Red Hulk doesn't need to be in this more. He doesn't. He wouldn't add any more into being in, and also it legit feels like a completely different movie. Like it doesn't. It's not matching up with the political stuff like at all.
I was just gonna say the Red Hulk would only need to be in this movie more if the Hulk was in it.
Right.
If the Hulk is in it, absolutely, because at that point
it is more. Yeah.
You need at least one more. But no, because this is supposed to be a Captain America movie. No, the only reason Red Hulk is in this is because they had no faith in Captain America.
Sure. See, or like they want to push a Hulk story forward that they want to lay the groundwork for. So like, yeah, maybe they are going to do a Hulk movie that involves the Red Hulk, and they're like, yeah, we're just going to do the base work here, and it's going to be like a case of like a Black Panther or Spider-Man thing, where this is them soft launching the idea of this character so they don't have to waste time in a Hulk. At that point, I'm like, all right, I'm okay with that.
I could see, but see, the issue is with all the legal stuff. Maybe they're waiting to see if they can get the rights back to Hulk.
Apparently they got the movie rights back. Apparently the deal expired like fairly recently, within the past couple of years.
Then I could see where
one of the two.
Then I could see where they were using this to set up Red Hulk so that they can then do a World War Hulk movie.
That was one of the rumors that they were set, but that's not the version of Red Hulk really that's in this. So like, Red Hulk is a far smarter and more evil character in the comic books. Like,
but this was but this was his first outing. You could easily have the excuse that by World War Hulk, it's like 5 years later and he's gained control and is
Yeah.
the smarter
I mean,
version.
sure. There was one rumor that they were gonna do a movie that involved the Maestro, which would be cool.
That would be interesting.
Yeah,
Well,
but
the thing is, with them having multiverses, you could have a lot of things.
right.
You could
Oh,
have
okay. We have to talk about the worst post-credit scene in the end. See, I used to think that the Doctor Strange post-credit scene was the worst. Sorry, the Doctor Strange 2 post-credit scene was the worst post-credit in the MCU. My God, this knock it by a fucking landslide. Like, it's incredible.
oh,
It is
Captain
the
America.
worst. The
You better believe
worst.
there's gonna be more movies, and you're gonna be in them, Captain
And my
America.
favorite is like, oh, Captain America, you think that we're not going to do a big Secret Wars? We're going to go do a big Secret Wars, Captain America. You better believe there's other
You
universes,
think there
Captain America.
think there won't be a big war, and it won't be a secret?
And there won't be other versions of you that may or may not. There's going to be another Robert Downey Jr. Captain America. You better believe we're making more movies.
And you know
It was
we've set up
awful.
that we've set up that we want you to make the Avengers, like to make the new Avengers specifically so that when the Secret War shows up and we have the evil versions of all the original Avengers show up, it's there's a nice contrast between new Avengers and old
Oh,
Avengers.
absolutely.
You think that's not
It's
intentional, Captain America?
and
Oh, that's all part of the plan, Captain America.
it's one of those movies where I wish it were better or worse. Like it's fine, but like it's also strangely fascinating because like yeah, it very famously suffered a bunch of reshoots, and you can tell
You can tell. You
you
can
can
tell.
tell like you can tell that there's a bunch of extraneous dialogue. I saw someone say that the dialogue was horrendous. The dialogue's not horrendous so much as just like it's clearly been added in because people had stupid questions in test screenings and Marvel got nervous. I can't think of any specific I mean one of the ones that's obviously I would be shocked if it wasn't a reshoot is at the end where we're spoiling the shit out of this. We probably already have. But at the end, where he goes to visit President Ross in jail, and he's like, "Yeah,
Former,
you did."
former President
Yeah, he's
Ross.
like, "You gave up being president and did all this shit that happened off camera. That is very clearly a reshoot. It's very obviously a reshoot because the only two people that appear in it are Harrison Ford and Anthony Mackie, and that's it. There's no other actors in it. It's just the two of them, and he's in a stupid costume.
Yeah,
It's very
I
obvious this is a
I
reshoot.
I fully believe that there was a version of that where it was Bruce
Oh,
who
absolutely, it
shows up
was.
there, and like there was some sort of dialogue
I would
back and
not be
forth.
surprised to find out that he shot shit for this. I would not be surprised to find out that he did. And they got changed for. Well, also to be fair, I think this is one of those ones where it was supposed to come out sooner, and so like it now has to retroactively catch up with the universe as it creates. Like one of those final last ones that got fucked with because of COVID. I think.
I could also believe a thing where it's like the reason why they couldn't have the Hulk in this is because of their deal. They can only have one Hulk per movie.
Maybe. I mean, I could believe that.
I could believe that that's the case.
Maybe Mark Wahlberg was like, oh, I only want to be in one bad Hulk thing. I like She-Hulk. That was a joke. That was a joke.
Someone
Um,
had to.
I enjoyed that show. And then, oh yeah, there was an interview where they asked the director why Red Hulk didn't talk, and I'm like, he's not that kind of Red Hulk. I understand that Red Hulk traditionally does talk, but he's not that kind of Red Hulk, and narratively, it wouldn't have worked, and I understand why they didn't.
That's where I say
Didn't feel it
you could
needed an
easily
explanation.
have it be where over the next couple years or whatever in the next movie he's in, it's been a couple years, he's done a lot of meditation while he's been on the raft, he's learned to control it. Like you could easily explain
Oh,
it
I mean, yeah,
away
I'm
at
sure
this
they
point.
will. I'm sure they will. Well, I mean, I guarantee you, Red Hulk will come back, and Harrison Ford will not. Like, I would not be shocked that this is the last time we physically see Harrison Ford, and he's just CGI Red
Oh
Hulk for
yeah,
like,
no,
yeah,
yeah, I could believe that.
this is the last time he's going to physically be there. But yeah, it's just a lot of what are honestly not bad twists are ruined by the marketing. Like we went to watch this in a Canadian Cineplex theater, and there's a little bit at the beginning before the movie starts, where Anthony Mackie and the guy who plays the Falcon, I don't know the actor's name, are like, "Hey, Canada, are you excited to watch this movie?" And like, guess who's coming back? Samuel Stearns and the guy who plays him are gonna be in this movie. And then the movie's like, "Yeah, that's supposed to be a big twist that like is honestly kind of a good one that they really tease throughout the movie. That again would be a good twist if you're watching it like, wait, Mr. Blake, because the song he uses to trigger people who are mind controlled, is
One of the things, anyway.
is Mr. Blue, and that's fun. If you're familiar with the universe, you'll be like, oh, Mr. Blue, is that who that, and you'll kind of put it together. But the marketing absolutely just fucking gives it away.
Yeah, it's a shame. Like I said, my ultimate summation of the movie though is that it feels
It
confused.
does, but I genuinely I think you're right. Where had we not known that Red Hulk was in this, had that been a genuine surprise, this movie would have taken people way more.
I think it would have done better. I do.
Because there's a lot of like there's people who are like this is horrible and it's one of the worst movies ever made, and
No.
no, it's not. It's a perfectly serviceable movie. The action looks good. It's fun.
Yeah, the best
But
summation that I saw was off someone said off Reddit once. I think it was Reddit, where they were like, it's not brave really. It's not exactly new either. It's definitely a world,
but I think that's fine.
and that's fine. Like
Right.
that's fine.
I think it's okay that
It
you can
doesn't.
have a movie that you're just like, oh, this is just a regular Tuesday in the Marvel universe, and that's what this kind of is. It's just a regular Tuesday, right?
My though, yeah. Well, the way that I would also put it is, so in comic book runs, you have the arcs, which are like 4 or 5 different
Yeah,
like
this is a good
things,
single
and they
issue.
end up.
Yeah.
This is a good single issue. Like
Yeah, for
this is
sure.
fine.
This is fine. Yeah, that's what I said Spider-Man movies should be. This should be a really solid single issue comic, and that's what this is. A really solid single issue comic. Like it's not but also it's not like great. Like there's a lot of really horrid scenes where like they really are insecure about Sam Wilson as Captain America because every character goes out of their way to call him Captain America, even if it's just like he has a name. His name is Sam. Like you didn't constantly call Steve Rogers Captain America every 5 minutes. Like or like there's a scene where he just randomly and inexplicably for no reason brings the shield with him, which ultimately leads to an action sequence. But like he didn't need to do that. He just does that so the movie reminds you that he's Captain America. But
Yeah.
also, there's a lot of really fun like there's a lot of really fun. I like the incorporation of his ability to fly. Like there's a really fun sequence later on where he's like fighting American fighter jets and he's like they're shooting bullets at him and he's like flying through them like a missile. That I'm like, this is fun. Like I'm having
Oh,
fun.
I will say though, and uh, I'm just gonna. I don't like his sidekick. I don't like.
Nah, I can see why you wouldn't.
I
I don't
don't.
mind it. It didn't bother me, but a lot of people don't like him. It's not working for them. I suspect he'll get toned down. Also, like, yeah, a lot of his like I do machines, where he's like, I instantly figured out. Like there's a few moments where you're like, I instantly figured out this information in the computer, and you're like, well, that's convenient. That feels suspiciously like a reshoot.
Like it feels like that should have been Bruce.
Well, it feels like it was a separate character, whether or not it was Bruce or not, but that it was a separate character that was there. That all of those characteristics of doing machines, because he has this character arc of wanting to be the Falcon that completely conflicts with this weird subplot of him being instantly good at every computer. Like he could just hack into anything. And it's like it's not jiving, so it feels like that computer. There's a computer hacker character that either was Bruce Banner, it was Mark Ruffalo, or it was a separate character that in a pass through that they were like is unnecessary and got cut out. Like that's what it feels like.
Yeah, I could believe that. I could absolutely. I think personally, I think it was Bruce.
Like, there's a really good cameo in this movie that is honestly the only good cameo in this. Well, yeah, okay. There's two. We're gonna spoil the 2 cameos because they're really ineffectual.
Or
But
Bucky. I believe it was either Bruce or Bucky.
I could believe Bucky. But at the very end, you get to see what's her face come back as Betty Banner, Benny. Betty Ross come back. That was a legit surprise. I was not expecting that because
Oh yeah, I didn't either.
it was nice. It didn't really work because it was Harrison Ford. I will say Harrison Ford is having an absolute fucking blast in this movie. He's putting in a performance he has no right to. Like he has no reason, not right, but he has no reason to put in the performance as good as he's committed to this in a way that's kind of amazing.
Yeah, you can tell that he's having fun, and B, I think there might be a certain level of like he wants to live up to the legacy of it.
Yeah, probably because like when she shows up at the end, I'm like, you know what? This is pretty good. This is pretty. Like I like the cameos in this because they were small.
It was nice having her come back.
Yeah.
I will say
Well, my favorite cameo in
that
this movie.
now that being said, I can't picture her and Mark Ruffalo together.
No, I really don't.
Like that would be weird for me.
But I also the other cameo in this movie, we've already said it. Bucky. Bucky coming back was a legit surprise. I was not expecting Bucky to show up in this. I thought for sure he was not going to show up into this, and a bunch of dumb people were going to be like, "Why isn't Bucky in this?" But this movie does an adequate job of like explaining why he's not in this movie. But that having been said, those bits are definitely reshoots. I guarantee you
that's fair. That's fair. Now that being said, for the Infinity War movie, if we don't get an Edward Norton Hulk comeback, like
we got it right.
They gotta. You gotta have like as many of the different versions of the characters as you can.
Right.
So like, I want an Edward Norton. I want the guy who was in the
Eric Bana.
Yeah. I want multiple versions of Mr. Fantastic. I want multiple versions of Iron Man. Like I just if you're gonna do an Infinity War, I want it to be big.
Yeah.
Or not Infinity Secret War rather.
But no, that Bucky cameo and the subsequent line where she's like, "Oh, I wouldn't expect Senator Bucky to show up," that's clearly a line that's clearly been added in because his scene was clearly shot when he was shooting Thunderbolts, and I did like that scene because it definitely made me go, "Oh hey, I wonder what Bucky's up to." Like, let's go find out what Bucky's up to. Like, and that legit made me go like, "Oh yeah, I kind of want to watch Thunderbolts now."
What misadventures is he doing right now?
Right? What misadventures is he currently simultaneously doing that explains why he wasn't in the back half of this movie?
Right? But that's where like I want the Shang-Chi movie to come out, Shang-Chi 2, and I want Hulk to be in that, and I want that also to take place at the same time as this, so that I can logistically explain to myself why when he found out that forget him being in the entirety of the movie, but when Bruce Banner finds out that Ross, the person who is the father of the woman that he loves, now also turns into the Hulk, why he wouldn't show up to talk to him?
At the very least, right? But like, hey, I know that you're at your being angry part of being in the Hulk. You can talk to my cousin. Me and my cousin can help you not do that, and you can become a smart Hulk like us.
Like to even have that. That's where I say that scene with like in the end where Captain America comes and talks to him and all that. Feels like it should have been the Hulk. If there was no other scene,
I guarantee you it was. I would not be shocked to find out it was.
Like I could totally see a scene where Smart Hulk walks, and you could then use that to explain why in Shang-Chi he's Bruce Banner again. Because you could have it be where Smart Hulk walks in and starts talking to him, and he's like, and Ross is like, I won't talk to like a monster like you, and he turns back into Bruce.
They already explained why he's human in the Shang-Chi post-credit. That was in She-Hulk. Explain that.
Oh. What was it?
It was they also explained why he had the broken arm. It was to help him heal, something to do with having to heal the arm, having to heal because the radiation from using the gauntlet was gamma. It wasn't healing him properly as the Hulk with his rapid healing, so he had to turn back into a human to heal it like a regular human.
That's stupid. Mine's better.
From what I recall.
That's stupid. Mine's better.
But yeah, this is kind of the first time where I'm like, yeah, to be fair, would I have watched this if we weren't doing this? No. And would I watch Thunderbolts if we weren't probably going to do another episode for this?
On streaming?
No. The next thing that I would genuinely watch in theaters is Fantastic Four. Like I will. If whether we're doing this or not, we will probably find a way to do. Same with Superman. I'm genuinely excited for those. I will say, like I say, yeah, I think Marvel needs more movies like this where they just exist in the world, like where it's just like, yeah, this is just moving the universe forward a little bit. It's addressing things that we've already established. We're answering questions, and that's fine. And it could be fine. Like I say, it's not the worst thing in the world, but it's not phenomenal. Like it didn't blow me away. Like, it did. Okay. It's a genuine surprise. I guess maybe again, well, I will button this with this. It was a genuine surprise because I was expecting it to be bad,
and it was fine.
And it was fine. I had a good time. It works as a movie. It's not its fault. It's bad. That's how I would put it.
Like I said, my biggest complaint is just that it's confused.
Marvel at this point is their own worst enemy. They're the reason why these movies, like this movie, probably would have been better if it were just a Captain America movie that didn't have the Hulk shit tossed on top of it. Like I guarantee you that like the Red Hulk stuff is like a third or fourth stage rewrite. It would not surprise me.
We will probably never know.
Well, not that we will never know, but we will certainly
never know.
I guarantee you, we will probably find out as the weeks go on and like deleted scenes come out. Exactly. We will be sitting here a week from now during the news talking about all the shit that got changed, and you'll be like, "Yeah, that makes sense." I'm predicting it now.
Or we'll never know.
But that's pretty much it. Yeah, again, serviceable. Is it check it out on Disney Plus when it comes to Disney Plus. Don't waste your time going to the theater. Although, do waste your time going to the theater because I need these movies to make at least a little bit of money so I get to see the Secret Wars. I just want to see the Secret Wars.
That's fair. And then we can wrap up the whole thing in a nice little bow.
The whole thing up. To be fair, I thought Endgame should be the last one, but I do believe that the Secret Wars should be like the grand finale to the MCU experiment. Once and for all.
I mean, certainly you can use it as a way to like reset everything, right? And then have new people come in.
Just make individual movies. Don't try to connect it all to one universe ever again.
And then if you do it that way, you reset things. I mean, at that point, you can keep who you want to keep. You get new people who you want to get new people.
Exactly. All the people who
an easy way
can bow out. You know.
It's an easy way to have your cake and eat it too.
Exactly. That was it. That was Captain America 1, as Jordan called it.
That's what I call it because it's a new Captain America.
New Captain America, new franchise. I legit. I don't know that I'd go to theaters to watch it, but I'd watch another one of these. But that's hard to say because so much of this I like because it's borrowed from other shit. So, but well, yeah, I'd probably watch another Anthony Mackie.
I don't know.
America movie. I'd probably do it.
On streaming, probably. Well, that's the end of the show. Justin's dying, so.
I got tickle in my throat. Next week. It's time to talk about next week. And so everyone knows, next week is our big season 3 season finale. That's right. We're finally ending season 3. I know you guys didn't know we were still in season 3. We are, because we're going on vacation for 2 weeks. So, well, 1 week, but for you guys it'll be 2 weeks. We will be off for 2 weeks, and then we will be back with our season premiere Japan episode like we always do. Soraya might be there, might not be there. We've asked.
She is slated to return.
She is slated to return, should schedules align. But next week, the season finale. It's funny, I had an idea for a season finale all week. And I'm just going to tell you what it was going to be because I changed it. I was going to do shit we cut. And maybe I still will one day because I like that topic. But then I noticed, and then I saw that next Sunday is the Oscars. And
shit.
Jordan, just from an SEO content standpoint, it made total sense to do an Oscars special. So, the topic for next week and the topic for our final episode of the season, of season 3, will be Oscar-nominated shit. But the catch is, any Oscars, any nominations, anyone, not just from this year, but as long as it's been nominated for a Oscar, and it doesn't have to be like Best Picture or Best Actress, Best whatever. You can if it's been nominated for a dummy technical award, like if you want to pick one that's like Best Special Effects, fucking go for it. And then if you get real desperate, maybe pick one that's got some Golden Globes. I don't care, but predominantly the Academy Awards, the Oscars. It's got to have at least one Oscar nomination. But the other catch is your have not seens has to be one from this year. At least one. At least one. At least one has to be from this year.
Okay.
But if you can do two, do two. If two sound intriguing to you, you could do two.
Challenge extended. Challenge accepted.
Are you gonna do two?
I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see. That's the challenge for next week. Also, I'm gonna do Wicked for one of mine, so I'm just gonna take that out of your hands right now.
All right.
And I'm going
you'll be truly defying gravity.
I'm gonna be like, hey Haley, I'm gonna be talking about your favorite movie.
You're really going to be popular.
Popular. I'm gonna watch Wicked, Haley. When I cut this video short later, I'm gonna be like, Haley, you should show up to that in some capacity, even in the chat.
Those are the only two songs that I know from that.
Because I'm gonna talk about Wicked. I'm gonna sit down for 3 hours and watch that very long movie.
Oh, so you're gonna torture yourself?
Whoa! Haley would be upset that you said that. But yes.
Oh, no. We need to be clear here.
Not because it's Wicked, but because it's a 3-hour movie?
It's the 3-hour movie part. It's any movie that's longer than like 2.5 is like way too long.
It's too much. I am actually legit excited though. But that's gonna be one of my have not seens.
All right. I accept that. We'll see.
We'll see. But that's next week. That's going to be our final episode of the season. And then, we will be off for 2 weeks. And then we will be back for season 4. And gosh, I'm so excited for season 4. I got so many ideas ruminating. The vacation when I'm in Mexico is just going to be me like thinking of ideas and like putting in my show notes, putting ideas in for episodes for next season. So
if you hadn't if you hadn't picked Oscars, I was gonna suggest as the final one before we go on vacations, the theme could have been movies about people that are going on vacation.
Oh, vacation movies. Next season.
Vacation.
That could be the whatever the season finale is before we go to Mexico next time. If we go to Mexico again.
Whenever we next go on vacation.
When we go on vacation during the summer, during season 4, because we have to do a season break in the summer. Otherwise, it's going to be another 40 episode season, and I don't know that I want that. Anyway, no, this is I think this will end up being 28 episodes for season 3, because I think this is episode 27. I think we're not at 100 yet, though. We haven't hit 100. Like we haven't hit 100 episodes yet.
Vacations are.
Yeah, come back next week. Our Oscar special. We're gonna do that. This will be fun. During the meantime, where can the people find you?
I do Minecraft Mondays on Twitch, ZethGore187. I do the Spur of the Moment podcast, sometimes on Saturday, sometimes on Sunday. That is it. Next week. Also, we have a Discord.
We have a Discord. Next week it's gonna be on Sunday because the Oscars is on Sunday. Unless it changes midweek to Saturday for some reason, but it will likely be Sunday.
Then maybe we should do it on the Saturday because people will be too busy watching the Oscars to be here.
No, because the Oscars is until night. Doing it on the day.
Okay. All right.
Anyway, you can find me. You can find me on TikTok. I'm on TikTok. I'm at Justin Spurr. The show also has a TikTok. Check us out during the week. We're getting at least one video up a week. Leave a like on all those videos. Check them out. If you can't, be here for the whole podcast, you can watch it in chunks on YouTube. I also do the Final Frontier podcast every Monday at the Final Frontier podcast with my good friend Jake. Jake is also welcome to come join us for our season finale if he's watching this. You can email the show at itsjustinbusiness@gmail.com. That is, if you want to sponsor the show, you can do it there. You could join our Discord. We could give us all sorts of handy suggestions. You could follow us, pay us on Patreon. That's cool.
If you want to buy us a coffee,
you want to buy us a coffee, chuck in a couple bucks. You could do that. That's also in the description. Yeah, we'll see you guys tomorrow with new videos. Probably later tonight we're gonna have that Captain America video is gonna go up. I'm gonna probably edit that right after this. I think that's the end of the show. Jordan, have a good day, everybody.